Welcome to the cockpit. My name's Ryan. I'll be your pilot tonight. We got a little bit different of a show going on tonight. I am joined by Ray, the Patriots guy. I got Mario from #Sports, and we got Matt O'Leary in the house. Boys, how you doing tonight? Ray, I'm going to kick it to you first. How you doing?
We're pretty good. How are you?
Hanging in there. Matt, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. I'd be doing better if the Jets did something today.
Oh, Mario, how you doing?
Other than the glare coming off of Ray's rings, I'm all right.
Oh, God. Here we go, boys. All right, so we're going to do this a little bit differently than we normally do. I'm going to do call-ins afterwards. We're going to talk with these guys for about an hour, and then at 9 o'clock, I'll switch over to some call-ins, get some of your thoughts. Who invited the Patriots fan? Good to have you guys in here. All right. So I'm a little disappointed. We started off the morning with a bunch of free agency news and a bunch of franchise tags. One person I'm particularly frustrated with is Joe Thuney. Is it Thuney or Tooney? Thuney. I'm very upset that he was franchise tagged. Now, we were talking a little bit beforehand. You didn't think that he was going to get tagged. What is your opinion of the move right now?
I loved it. I mean, I don't get shocked anymore by Patriots moves because usually I'm used to Belichick, trying to pick up some Walmart employee somewhere and turn him into a football player. So the fact that, look, we lost Trent Brown last year. We lost Nate Solder the year before. So I just assumed we're going to lose Joe Thuney. He's going to become one of the highest paid interior linemen in the league. And we're going to have, Jermaine Illuminor for the rest of the year, or Isaiah Wynn move over to, left guard, get injured, and then, go with Marshall Newhouse. So that was just how I saw the whole season playing out. So when I saw it, man, I was jacked. It also told me that, everybody was all excited about saying, Tooney's going to be protecting Brady. And I said, I think this tells us that Tooney's going to be protecting Stidham as we go forward in the season this year.
Ooh.
But I know, man, I was jacked. Joe Tooney's one of the best left guards. I mean, I think it wasn't last year, the year before. Joe Thuney and Shaq Mason were ranked as the best guard tandem in the NFL, right? So to keep that interior together, especially with there being some pretty good offensive tackles coming out of this year's draft, I think you can move on from Marcus Cannon, and keeping Thuney to protect the interior is great, especially with David Andrews still being up in the air with all his blood clots and all that kind of stuff. Keeping Thuney was important.
Yeah, I think that was a big move. I think a large part of it was a slight fear. Maybe you guys aren't as scared as I was, or maybe other Jet fans would like to believe you guys were scared, that the Jets were going to scoop in and pay Thuney a bunch of money. And I wanted it. I was pounding the table. I know Matt was pounding the table for it. I thought he might have been able to go to the Bills, because I thought the Bills, prior to them re-signing Spain, I thought for sure that could have been where they could go. Guys, I forgot to get into it right off the bat. The question of the day, if you guys want to win a shirt from the Jets Talk store, there's a link in the description down below, along with all these guys' channels. So if you want to sub up all these guys, sub them up. There's a link to the Jets Discord down below. Answer the question, head down to the poll section. Jets management did not listen to their fans in 1995 and took tight end Kyle Brady with the 9th overall selection. Which player did the fans want the Jets to select instead? Head over to the Jets Discord, answer that question. If you get it right, I'm going to raffle off a shirt at the end of the day. All right, Matt, I'm a little frustrated. I'm sure you are too. We just heard Graham Glasgow going to the Broncos, 4 years, $44 million. That was cheaper than what I thought he was going to get. I wanted the Jets to spend more money on that. We missed out on Thuney. Conklin's going to the Browns on a 3-year deal, getting $20 million in year one. What do you feel about the Jets' moves, or lack thereof, so far this free agent period?
Yeah, it's tough not to be a little bit frustrated. I think one of the things that is a little bit of a benefit, I guess I'm using that in air quotes, is that there are still some guys available. And for the offensive line, you're probably at some tier 2 options at this point, like a Brian Balaga maybe. I think that would be my number one target at this point in where we're sitting at in free agency. I think that'd be a nice addition to the right side of the line. I would have liked them to be a little bit more active. Obviously, they didn't get any worse, but they aren't getting any better right now. It's just a little bit of anxiety, just waiting for something to happen. That's all. I'm still confident. I'm just running out of patience, I guess.
Can I interject here for a minute?
Absolutely.
And give you my opinion on the Jets, which I'm sure you've been looking forward to.
I'm gonna mute you, you son of a. No, go for it.
I'll go all the way back to last February.
Mm-hmm.
After the Patriots won the Super Bowl. You guys remember that, right?
Eat a bag.
No, I was doing a live chat, and one of the questions that was asked to me was, who's the biggest threat to the Patriots in the AFC East?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were leaning towards the Jets. And I said the Buffalo Bills. I immediately said the Buffalo Bills. I said Allen is better than Darnold. I said he's not as polished. Hold on. He's not as polished. Darnold's better right now. I like the upside better. I knew the Bills' defense was absolutely insane. Fast forward a couple months, they draft Singletary, which I knew was absolutely going to be. I know he got hurt for a little bit there, but I had the Bills. You guys also hired Adam Gase, right? Which we watched him. You might like Gase, but we watched him underachieve with the Dolphins year after year after year. He managed to scheme Le'Veon Bell out of the game, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you have one of the best running backs in the league, so because you're Adam Gase, you just decide you're going to put him out. At the end of this season, I was talking to Patriot fans, and they're asking me again, or who's the biggest threat, and I said it's still Buffalo. Obviously, I mean they showed us. I said the Jets are closer to a rebuild than they are to getting better, and you're going to lose Jamal Adams. You know what I mean? And
I don't think so.
You've ruined the relationship.
I think if we lose Jamal Adams, I think we're going to get a pretty decent trade. I think we could get a first and a third for Jamal. I really do. I don't want to do that because I think you're getting a lottery ticket at that point. I don't necessarily agree with paying a strong safety as much as that guy's going to get paid, but at this point, the Jets aren't paying anyone. Everyone's walking. We got rid of Leonard Williams, which actually, fun fact, guys, in the chat, if you did not know this, the Giants franchise tagged Leonard Williams, and it doesn't count as him signing a deal because he did not sign the franchise tag yet. So right now the Jets are set to get the 3rd round pick this year and the 5th round pick next year as opposed to the 4th round pick. So a little bit of a kick in the taint, if you ask me. Mario, I want to hear a little bit from you. How do you feel about the free agency period so far? I mean, there's so much we could talk about. We could talk about the trades. The Hopkins thing is absolutely bananas to me. But Mario, what are you kind of thinking?
Well, first of all, let's give a shout out to Sportscaster number one. I mean, Ray put in the work, you put in the work. We've been doing this thing. And shout out to all the passengers in the cockpit tonight who are just. I'm not gonna. It's not against you, Ray, but a Patriots fan shows up and everyone just gets. It's just what you guys have done to the rest of the AFC East for all these years. That's what happens. But I don't want the fans in the cockpit to realize, kind of tilt their opinion because Ray speaks a lot of truth. I mean, as much as I don't agree with some of the stuff that he says, it's only because I'm a Bills fan and it's because he's right. Okay, some of the things that he says. Now, this is what this channel has needed with this kind of animosity because I can see Ryan over there losing his freaking mind, and it's phenomenal.
The best part about this, I believe this is the 5th video. So guys, like this video because if you don't remember, me and Mario had a live stream a little while ago. If we had 5 live streams in a row of 100 likes, I get to put Mario through a table this year. So that's going to happen. Joe S., thank you for the $1.99 donation. Fire Gase, free agents will come, is what Joe S. is saying right now.
No, I think what people need to realize, especially in Jets Nation, Bills, we're dealing with the same thing now. I'm sure Ray's doing the same thing. It's the tampering period. So these kind of things are being leaked out. These things, sometimes these won't be guaranteed. Something will switch. Something will switch at what happens with a guy standing here, guy standing there. So don't just because some of these, a lot of these deals that happen with, marquee players that have to fill holes on your team, they're not blown up in the media like a lot of them are. But the DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson, 2nd and a 4th, and Hopkins in a 4th. Wow. I mean, what is Bill O'Brien off? Did he crash off of the Patriots tree? Or what is wrong with this kid?
He didn't just crash off the tree. He fell off the tree and hit every branch on the way down.
Yeah.
That's what it was. If I knew we could have gotten Hopkins. Now, I'm pretty sure Houston took on the full contract of David Johnson. I think that's what wound up happening, which is bananas to me because if I could have traded Le'Veon Bell for DeAndre Hopkins and gotten a 4th round pick and whatever else back, I would have done that in a heartbeat. And I like Le'Veon a lot. I was fully on board the Le'Veon Bell train last year. But man, Hopkins is a special receiver.
Oh my God, I put him up there as the best. I know, like you were talking about a little bit before the broadcast, talking about Michael Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I put Breeze above Watson as far as an accurate pure passer, so that's where I give the nod to him. But Hopkins, I think, is the best wide receiver in the NFL. I believe that to be true. He has the stats to back it up. He has the game to back it up. I just don't see how you part with a guy like that. I just don't understand. And I think it was you, Ray, and then we could kick it over to Matt. There was a little bit of friction going on there down in Houston.
Yeah, I'll pull up the tweet. But yeah, apparently there was some friction. It sounded a lot like a Brady Belichick sort of friction. And as this guy, so this came from my boss says, violating my own media rule here. The relationship between Bill O'Brien and DeAndre Hopkins was not good. And I've heard that from multiple places. My own take, Bill O'Brien hasn't accomplished enough in his life in football to have a bad relationship with a tremendous player.
That's great. That's phenomenal.
So true.
Oh, sorry, and that's from Mike Melster. I thought it said molester, so I was just staring at my phone. That's why
I can't say that out loud.
That's why I wouldn't say his name. Mike Melster.
Mike
Melster. He's a reporter for ESPN and Mad Dog Radio out in Houston. So yeah, and it's true. You can't. Like I was telling you guys before the show started, I think that Bill O'Brien is trying to be Bill Belichick with no credibility. He thinks that he can make stupid trades like this. And, you know, we've seen Belichick in the past turn, you know, water into wine, or whatever you want to call it. Kyle Van Noy's the perfect example. Gets him from nothing from Detroit. He looked like he was going to be a big bust, and now he's going to get a big payday after coming to New England. But you got rid of the best, in my opinion, best wide receiver in the NFL for a running back who's probably, and I don't wish this on anybody, but who's probably going to get injured at some time this season. And what, you're going to go with Fuller now? That's going to be Deshaun Watson's only target?
It doesn't make sense to me. Matt, what do you think about the whole David Johnson thing? I'm not real sold on the guy.
No, he is long done. And I mean, he was productive in 2016, but that was 4 years ago at this point. There was an injury. There was a couple of underachieving seasons after that. I don't get this trade at all. Like that tweet was saying, how Bill O'Brien has this kind of power is actually insane. He is a mediocre head coach and a worse general manager. I don't get that trade at all. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You have a quarterback in Deshaun Watson who you're looking to build around, and you take away. If he's not the number one wide receiver in the league, at worst, top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, and you just trade him away for a running back who is 4 years removed from being productive, it makes zero sense.
Sorry, I don't mean to break in here, but I guess the Finns are signing Van Noy.
Yeah, I saw
$52 million.
Ooh, really?
Just came across my phone. Sorry, guys.
No, that's a good take. Now, see, someone posted that to me earlier of the Jets sniffing around Van Noy, and I was like, that is the most vanilla signing you could possibly make as a Jets. Like, I want to be like kind of excited. Like, Fowler hasn't done a whole lot, but like I would like Dante Fowler. Now, the Finns are scooping up everyone. They had $1 zillion in cap space, but now they have, Xavier Howard and Byron Jones as the 2 cornerbacks on that team. You can argue, the best secondary in the NFL now.
Well, they also have to leave.
I would argue with you on that one.
Go for it.
But when you want to talk about the best secondary in the league, I would look at current defensive player of the year, Stephon Gilmore.
You should have got it.
Casey Jackson.
I should have got it.
Okay, yeah, I made a mistake there.
But you know what though? I mean, I was gonna say that don't forget too, aren't they signing Shaq Lawson as well?
They are. They're signing Van Noy, Lawson, Byron Jones. That's a legit defense. But here's the thing that I love about the AFC East as a whole. Okay, so far as what's going on with the Finns, what's been going on in New England, what has been going on with the Buffalo Bills, and you can even put the Jets in there on this to a degree, because I think they're going to make some signings as well. You're equipping your team to beat the Chiefs. That's why you're equipping your team, because they are the king of the mountain right now. You have to now. You got Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, Aqib Talib, 3 wide sets that go against the Chiefs. You got to be able to generate pressure, and you got to be able to cover them. You look at the New England Patriots. McCourty just re-signed there. You got Stephon Gilmore, who is you're welcome. Guys came from the Bills. And Belichick, that was a beautiful move, by the way, taking Gilmore. But then you also have the secondary of the Buffalo Bills with Trey White, Jordan Poyer, and Micah Hyde. You have to try to defeat who's the king of the mountain, and for a long time it has been the Patriots. And how do you defend them when they're playing old school football? When they went double tight in the last Super Bowl, they went double tight and had Gronk blocking. No team was equipped to deal with that. So as we're starting to progress, it doesn't seem like Andy Reid is going to change too much of his stripes. He's still going to want to throw the ball a bunch. You have you have Mahomes there. You have a lot of these receiving threats. You have to equip your defense to beat that. And it seems like the Dolphins are ahead of the curve trying to do that right now.
They are, but I also think that that's a stupid way to look at building rosters. And I know it's, okay, you got to beat the Chiefs. And I'm not saying this arrogantly now, I'm saying this straight up, but I watched the AFC East do it year after year. I watched Buffalo play the Patriots really good. I watched the Jets play Buffalo really well. I watched Miami fluke off games against the Patriots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then for a lot of it, except for a couple of years with Rex Ryan there, the Jets were irrelevant to the rest of the league. The Bills were irrelevant to the rest of the league. You guys built yourself to beat the Patriots. The Bills never did it. The Jets did. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you always played tight, right? We always knew it was going to be tight games.
Yeah.
And then there was nothing else. And I knew last year, I said it, that Belichick built the Patriots, especially their defense, to beat the Chiefs. Neglected the offense in a way. I mean, we had some bad runs there with Numbnuts, Brown, and, Gordon falling off the wagon again and trading Demaryius Thomas to the Jets, because, that worked out well for us. But it was, but when you look at it, I hate when we build. There's a different way to beat Patrick Mahomes. We beat Patrick Mahomes the AFC Championship not with our defense. We had a good first half. We shut him out, and 2 years ago, but he came up and he put 37 points in the second half. Patrick Mahomes is going to do that. Run the ball, leave him on the field, leave him off the field. And really, if you look at the Patriots, the Jets, and the Bills, all 3 teams are equipped to do that. Right? All 3 teams have the running games where you can run the ball down the Chiefs' throats, not, little dump passes and out passes. And, you don't have to try to outscore them. You got to keep Mahomes off the field. But this is what we're going to do now. The Bills are going to do it. The Patriots have done it. The Jets might get there. We're going to put all our money into defense to stop Patrick Mahomes and then have no offense to back it up.
See, I think that's where the Jets are going to come out all right, because our defense, by and large, with losing some key pieces due to injury, so we'll get some of those guys back like Mosley. But I think having, the focus for the Jets be on the offensive side of the ball, I think we've put enough effort into the defensive side. Guys, before I get going more, if you're just tuning in, we have a poll in the in the description down below. Head down, click on the Discord link. There's a poll down in the poll section. Jets management did not listen to their fans in 1995 and took tight end Kyle Brady with the 9th overall selection. Which player did Jets fans want the Jets to select instead? Head over there. You'll win a shirt or a hat or a mug or something from the Jets Talk store. Make sure you head down to the description down below. Make sure you sub up these guys as well. Look, I think the Jets they're going to try and go offense heavy this year. I think you're going to try and get offensive linemen. That's what hurts so much about this right now is because of the moves that were made, not even by the Jets in this free agent off season already. You have Conklin going to the Browns. You have Glasgow going to the Broncos. You have Thuney staying with the Patriots. Then with the trade with Hopkins to the Cardinals, that means the Cardinals are probably not taking a receiver at 8. They're probably going offensive linemen. And now the Giants just got Bradbury, so they're probably not going after Okudah at 4. You could argue they could still go after Isaiah Simmons, which is probably what we hope they go after, but they could definitely go offensive line. The Jets might be screwed on the offensive line front and might have to go wide receiver at number 11. Matt, what do you think about the possibility of the Jets kind of getting stuck in that situation?
Yeah, earlier we were talking about the big trade that the Cardinals made, and yeah, it impacts their team on getting in a star wide receiver, but it also impacts the draft because where they sit, they aren't going to take a wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy's not going to go off the board there. CeeDee Lamb's not going to go off the board there. it most likely is going to be an offensive lineman, which means that's just another one of those names coming off the board before you get to 11 if you're looking at it through the Jets perspective. It's not great because there's 4 guys really that you could take at that spot for the offensive line. Other than that, maybe if none of them are available, maybe you have to move back. But I mean, it definitely threw a wrench in the plans, I think, for the New York Jets today.
Yeah, it's definitely it has been an issue. Was there any other big news that you guys kind of were a little shocked with? Mario, I'll throw it to you. Any signings that maybe caught you off guard or that you thought were impactful?
I wanted to fight somebody today because Jack Conklin signed with the Browns. But I just wanted to go just real quick before I go on to that.
Sure.
Is that Ray had mentioned everyone's trying to spend money on defense to try to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs. The one thing that we all have in the AFC East at our disposal is that all of our quarterbacks at some point or another are going to be on rookie deals. So it doesn't matter some of the money that we end up spending on a defense. That's great. We can end up allocating a lot more of that money for the offensive line or skill positions that we need for those guys. And it's kind of like a sneaky thing that happens in the NFL right now where you get your guy on his rookie deal, you spend money everywhere else. And then when he's finally mature, ready to take the reins and get paid, that's when you have to let a couple of these guys go. But as far as that goes, I'm a big proponent of offensive linemen and defensive linemen. I think that's where it starts. I think that's where you got to win a lot of these games. I know it sounds cliche, but Jack Conklin was a guy that I was like crossing my fingers for that the Buffalo Bills could be like, listen, let's solidify that right tackle spot. Ray will know this guy's name, talking about oh God, he was your left tackle. Why is his name escaping me right now? He signed with the Bills last year.
Oh no,
he signed with the Bills last year. He ended up getting hurt.
Did he come in as a starter or secondary?
He was a left tackle.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of his name.
Why am I not? Anyway, he signed with Buffalo last year.
Former first-round draft pick.
He signed with Buffalo last year. He got hurt. He was on IR all season, but the Bills did not release. Yes, Ladrian Waddle. So he got signed. He got hurt, and he was on IR the entire season. But they never released him with an injury settlement. They kept him on the roster the entire year. So I think they're kind of banking on that being one of their linemen. And I don't know how proven he is. I'll have to pick Ray's brain later about how good he is and how he would work. But as far as the Jets go, what they're able to do is I agree with both of you, Matt and Ryan. They have to solidify the offensive line. And if you're going to try to beat, like Ray said, if you're going to try to beat the Kansas City Chiefs who are the king of the mountain, you got to be able to run the ball. And it seems like the Browns are on that path to try to do that. You get Conklin, you get Hooper. You know what I mean? They're getting pieces together to try to beat them. So I thought it was funny that they signed Hooper and they got Njoku. That confused me. That really confused me.
Well, my bold prediction of this is I always make one big prediction of the Patriots offseason, and after I saw the Hooper side, I said Njoku to the Patriots via trade. That's my big prediction.
Ooh.
That'd be good.
That's
They've done that too many times, though. They've signed too many tight ends to the Patriots.
I guess, yeah. We like to pick Brown players. You know, we got Jason McCourty. We had Danny Shelton, who was just a steal at $1 million last year.
Oh my God, Danny Shelton's a beast. That guy's scary good.
And Belichick likes Browns players. I don't know what it is, but
Well, he's got a hard on for being there. That's what it is. Yeah, he built that whole franchise before they wound up going to Baltimore, and then they wound up winning a ring down there. So Belichick could have another ring on his resume.
Well, he could. He was a Ray Lewis away from possibly winning a Super Bowl.
Yes. Guys, down in the description down below, there is a link to the Jets Discord. Answer this question down in the Jets Discord poll section, and if you want to possibly win a shirt or a hat or a mug or something like that from the Jets Talk store, Jets management did not listen to their fans in 1995 and took tight end Kyle Brady with the 9th overall selection. Which player did the Jets fans want to select instead? Answer that down in the Jets Discord poll section.
I got a question real quick, though.
Go for it.
Can I just – I didn't mean to step on it but on your toes, but it's for Ryan and Matt specifically, but because you look at Devontae Freeman just got cut. Mm-hmm. All right, you're talking about maybe taking a cap hit for Bell. I know you've talked about it on a couple of your streams. That, okay, Do we get rid of Bell? Do we move on from him? Do we move on from Adams? Here's my question. Would you guys take quantity over quality in the fact of, okay, we're able to get these many picks for Adams. We're able to get this player, and another pick for Bell. Would you guys take that? Because I think Adams and Bell are up there as far as the greatest players in the league right now. So would you take, hey, we're going to get Bell, we're going to get rid of Bell, but we're going to get enough guys to plug some holes that we have here on this team? What would be your guys' personal asking price for Bell and or Adams?
Honestly, Bell, I don't think we're going to get much for him. As good a player as he is, the Jets would have to eat salary cap to get draft picks in that sort of situation. With Adams, it's tough because the Jets haven't had really good players in a while, and you can rebuild the Jets' offensive line probably a little easier if you trade Jamal Adams. Like if you get, say, Dallas's number 17 pick and maybe their third-round pick, now you can go CeeDee Lamb. You could go, maybe you stretch and you take the center at 17, or you try to trade down with a team that wants a quarterback that might be fallen, like was it Justin Love or Jordan Love?
Jordan Love.
Or something maybe to that sort of effect. But I don't think you're going to get much for Bell. Adams, I want to win with Adams. It would hurt me to not have Adams. Matt, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I've been back and forth with the Adams thing because we have this conversation all the time about positional value, but I feel like he does so much for this team. It would probably take a first and a third for me to move Adams. As far as Le'Veon Bell goes, I don't really know what you can get for him because of his contract situation. Like Ryan said, you'd have to eat some of it to get anything back for him. At this point, I would just rather hold on to him and just hope that he goes back to not 100% to what he was, because I think that's unrealistic. But if he's an 1,000-yard rusher and could catch, 50, 60 passes, then I think you're in pretty good shape.
I think the Jets would be crazy to trade Le'Veon Bell before the season.
Agreed.
He's the perfect trade deadline piece. If you look at a team like the Dolphins that has 4 million picks, you know what I mean? They're building their defense. If they feel like they're a star player away, and they'll probably still have salary cap when it's all said and done when they go into the season, if they feel like they're a player away from making a legit playoff push or something, that could be a team. The Colts are another team. If they can find their quarterback, they're not going to do it. Jacoby Brissett. Don't listen to Patriots fans.
Dude, they're getting Rivers. It's going to happen.
Do you think they're getting Rivers?
I really do. I think they're going to get Rivers. I think dark horse for Amari Cooper as well. I think.
Oh, I heard that the Cowboys and Amari was almost done. That's what I was reading today.
Really?
That's why their focus is on signing Cooper. That's why they're franchising Dak and moving on, and they're doing what they can to keep Cooper.
Yeah, I knew they'd be trying to hold on to him, but I just think I figured some team, and the Colts have so much money. I figure they could throw the money at him. I mean, they have a pretty good receiving core anyway.
I just want to throw this out there for you and Matt, though, because I just went to overthecap.com. It's an awesome site. I suggest you guys check it out if you ever want to play with numbers and all that stuff. If the New York Jets want to move on from Bell, and, you guys are talking about the numbers here, it's $12 million dead cap money over the life of his contract that they would have to eat because his base salary is so high. If they trade him pre-June 1st, if they trade him post-June 1st, it's only $6 million dead money bomb that goes off on the Jets. So it's not – it could be an Antonio Brown scenario where it's a trade and re-sign for him because he's going to be 28. You're going to probably get about 3 more years out of him at the production that he has. Like Matt said, 50 catches a year, 1,000-yard rusher. That's one of those things you want. But a lot of teams – I agree with the money signing with that is the fact that you can get those guys out of college now. Those guys you don't need to trade for a Le'Veon Bell in that respect because okay, we can get a 50 catch guy and a 1,000-yard rusher. That's fine. We could just draft him and then we're paying league minimum because it's a rookie deal. And we got him for 4 years and we could run him into the ground and get another one. So a lot of that I just wanted to give you guys give the passengers the numbers on what it would be if they wanted to move on from Bell. It would take $12 million before June 1st. If they traded him, $6 million after June 1st. They didn't trade.
So that's a good point. To Ray's point, a perfect trade bait option at the deadline. I didn't realize it was going to be that. I don't know if it's that enticing. I guess you'd have to look at the signing bonus. What is the cap hit for a team that trades for him? Do you still have it pulled up, Mario?
Yeah, I got it right now.
So you
as far
take
as
away
Bell
the
goes.
Yeah, you would take away the signing bonus.
the way that it goes is that he has roughly around, let me see, 16, 20. He's got like $25 million in his base salary. I mean, if he gets traded to a team. Now, the base salary, the Jets don't have to eat his base salary. They just have to eat the bonus. And he's got a prorated bonus of $2 million a year. But he also has a built-in roster bonus of 2020 of $4.5 million. 2021 is 3. 2021 is 3. Or 2022 is 3. And he has a per game bonus. So if he's not playing for the Jets, all those bonuses go out the window, or what he would have. So that's why it's so staggered, and that's why the contract itself was actually pretty smart by the Jets to sign.
And I'm actually looking at that too. I mean, it'd be a brilliant trade because remember his salary cap hit to the other team would be prorated based on how many weeks are left.
Yeah,
and then next year is a dead cap of 4 and then a dead cap of 2 the next year.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah.
So you could bring him in for one season and then just flat out cut him and eat that small cap.
Yeah, the team that trades for him only has to deal with the base salary, which would be $8.5 million in 2020.
So the roster bonus doesn't count against him then. So that means you're talking 8.5 or part if it's trade deadline. It might wind up being like $4 million for 2020 for whatever team trades for him, and then the
roster bonus only counts if he's on the roster by the third day of the new league year.
For the Jets, or does that carry over to another team?
No, that's why I said if they were to trade him pre-June 1st, that's why it's a $6 million instead of a $2 million this year.
Yeah.
So that's why it's prorated in that fashion. Why it's 12. If they trade him, I'm just saying this. If they trade him pre-June 1st, and that happens to be in the new league year,
I guess
he's going to cost $12 million.
The Jets are going to be on the hook for $4 million. The signing bonuses stays on the team that trades them, so you guys will be $2 million. That's what you'll be on the hook for. Mm-hmm. The roster bonus will only come into effect if the team that trades for him keeps him into the new year. But it's such a low dead cap, you could take a shot at him for 1 year and then flat out release him or try to renegotiate his contract.
So his contract for next year basically, if someone were to trade for him and want to hold on to him, would be $11 million for 2021 because they'd have the prorated for 2020, so it'll be a little tougher to kind of figure that out.
It'd be 11.5.
Yeah.
Yep. It would definitely be 11. It would be 11.5, and then it would be 13 for 2022 at 30 years old.
Yeah. So a 1 year deal with Bell could definitely happen if you're the Chiefs, like wanting to give up. Maybe they could give up a second round pick. I don't know. I never thought you could get that much for Bell. Maybe he renegotiates his contract.
The way things are going, the Texans might want Bell.
Oh, I hope so. I hope if we can get in bed with the Texans,
maybe they'll trade you to Deshaun Watson.
Oh man, we run the 2 quarterback set of Sammy Darnold, Sammy Sticky Lips, and Deshaun Watson.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Jesus Christ. What did you guys think about so the 49ers signed Eric Armstead to a huge deal and traded Buckner to the Colts for a first-round pick? I didn't see Buckner leaving the 49ers, but you could argue that the impact Buckner has with the Colts may wind up being better than the value you could get out of a DeAndre Hopkins. Now, I don't necessarily believe that, but I heard people talk about it online. I think Field Yates was the guy that was talking about it as far as Twitter goes.
I don't think that you're going to get the same value, but I think that the 49ers did that backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
know a lot of
Armstead.
Yeah, and a lot of 49er fans that I know and was kind of chatting with today, they were the ones who were telling me that. They really? Said that they got it backwards, should have extended Buckner, moved on from Armstead. So it was that at least that's, but you're always going to have that contingent that's never going to be happy, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's comparable to some of the stuff I'm hearing right now around the fake Patriots fans, who are
coming from a guy whose team's never drafted out of the 30s in the first round.
But listen, let me read this to you, okay? I got to read this to you because this. Mm-hmm. If I could see this guy in person, I'd punch him in the face, right? I wouldn't even explain to him why I'm doing it.
I'm waiting.
This is a quote-unquote Patriots fan, but I've realized now, and I don't know if you guys heard on my show, I talk about it a lot. I go, there's Patriots fans and there's Tom Brady fans, and those are completely two different fan bases. Completely different fan bases.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
So this guy, who is called Pat's Church, and quote, Church is Pat, so he's full of shit already, writes, Belichick has shown time and time again that he doesn't care about the fans, which he doesn't, Tom Brady's happiness or really anything else that matters, and he gets praised for being an asshole. Sick of it. So
he has not been paying attention to the last 20 years. That's exactly what has happened the last 20 years.
And I just sat there going, okay. And I politely said to him, "You're right. This fucking dick has only gotten us to 9 AFC championships, or gotten us 9 AFC championships and 6 Super Bowls. Belichick's a fucking clown." Well, this guy took me serious and started giving me all the reasons that Belichick was a fucking clown. So I let him go, right?
Oh God.
Oh,
explain it quickly.
Just let him.
Oh
rant.
yeah. Oh yeah. Brady's offense saved his defense's ass for the first 5 of them too. The first 5, like back in 03 and 4, when our defense set records for being the fucking one of the most dominant defenses since the '86 Bears, Brady saved them. Right back, and that's the thing, right? This is obviously a young Patriots fan who wasn't a Patriots fan back, when they won Super Bowls. When Brady was, and I don't give a shit how many young people get mad at me. I'm fucking 30-something. I remember this. Tom Brady was a guy. He was okay. And I said, if they would have only won 1 Super Bowl, Brady would have been popular, but Drew Bledsoe would have been more popular than him.
Yep.
I remember my old man, when they made that switch, telling me this fucking Belichick is a bum.
He doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Am I allowed to swear? Sorry.
Go,
I never
go for
asked.
it. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
Right.
Go for it. Fire away.
After 18 bombs.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, I know I didn't ask. Because I don't swear on my show. I just swear on everybody else's.
That's all right. It doesn't matter to me.
But, this guy.
No, but my dad told me, he goes, this Belichick guy's a fucking bum. Drew Bledsoe is the starting quarterback. Drew Bledsoe is the franchise. Who's this Brady kid? Who the hell wants to go with him? Obviously, it's different now. You know what I mean? He has a different perspective. Sure. But that's the way a lot of Patriot fans felt about Brady back in 2001. This little punk-ass bum, 6th-rounder, just came in, and this idiot Belichick gave him Bledsoe's job. So anyways, this is how I know this guy wasn't a fan then. That's how I start to put it together.
Well, it's crazy. You talk about all the guys they've let go over the years from maybe not contract disputes, but like, hey, we're not going to pay you a ton of money. Chandler Jones comes to mind. Ty Law later, I guess, in his career wound up coming to the Jets.
Seymour,
yeah, dude. There's a ton of players over the course of the last few years.
Nobody finishes with the Patriots. Will Fork went to the Texans. Lawyer Malloy in Buffalo, man. We still know it as the Lawyer Malloy game. You
gotta say this right now. I mean, the thing about the Patriots is that Belichick was heavily influenced, whether you like it or not, by Bill Walsh. Now, Bill Walsh used to get rid of guys a year or 2 before it was that time to do it. I mean, he went up to Randy Cross, who was he was an all-pro center. And he said, "Listen, you can play about 6, maybe 8 years left, in this league. You're only gonna play 3 or 4 here." He told them that point blank. Like, he's like, "You're not. I just want your good years." That's what he said. But to kind of circle this back real quick, and then we'll get back to the Patriots. Armstead was taken in 2015 with the 17th pick. He was a defensive tackle. Buckner was a 7th overall pick, defensive end. But they just got Bosa. So this is what happens when they loaded up that front 7 for years, because they were so bad in San Francisco. What they did was they got Armstead, they got Buckner, they got Solomon Thomas. They ended up last year, 2018, they got Mike McGlinchey, and then they got Nick Bosa. So the fact that they got Bosa, who are we gonna part ways with? Do we want to part ways with Solomon Thomas? Do we want to part ways with DeForest Buckner? And then again, DeForest Buckner. And the thing is, the fact that they were still able, I mean, usually when you have that many first-round picks that hit in a row, you can't get those guys. You can't keep those guys. The fact that they were still able to garner a first-round pick for that the culture, like, listen, this is what we need. We know we take a first-round pick to get this guy. He's seasoned in the league. He was in the Super Bowl last year. Let's get this championship pedigree. Let's bring it over here. That's worth a first-rounder to us. That's why it's so weird to talk about this. Oh, they gave this for this guy. But that's the value of one team versus another team. Okay, the 49ers could get rid of that because they got Bosa on a rookie deal for another 4 years. Okay, so then Buckner's like, okay, you can go, but you're more valuable to that team, but we still want to get value for you, so that's why they get the first round pick. So, in all that, I mean, that intertwined. Getting back to Tom Brady, me and Ray might get in a fight. I swear to God, because
Tom Brady could do that.
Boy. Bledsoe was my boy for the longest time.
V-Man, thank you for the $2 donation. He says, Matt, tell them about Goodbye Brady video. So, Matt, you got to tell us about the Goodbye Brady video.
Okay, so this guy, he DM'd me. He's got it locked away. If Brady leaves, he's going to fire out a Brady video. I've seen the preview. It's not going to make you very happy. It's not pretty.
So, if I can be honest with you guys,
sure,
I'm more than okay with Brady leaving. Mm-hmm. I'm actually a little bit excited to see what. I know we're going to go through some dark times. I'm not stupid. I don't think that Belichick's going to take Stidham and we're going to, dominate the AFC East like we have, and I'm not saying that arrogantly. I'm just, I'm not dumb. As far as I'm concerned, the Bills and the Jets, we have maybe this year without Brady because we have a defense. If Mohamed Sanu can remember how to catch a football, that kind of thing. We still got Julian Edelman. If they can get Tyler Eifert, who I think they're going to really go after, or Njoku or something like that, I think you could do it with a draft pick, or you can go sign a Marcus Mariota, who I think would be a good fit for the Patriots. First, I thought it was Teddy Bridgewater, but I heard he's going to the Bears now. Ooh. But so I went through that whole thing. I'm excited to see what we can actually do going forward. Brady's going to be 43 years old this year, right? Like everybody.
Father Time's got to catch up with the guy.
Well, yeah, and you know what? I'm so sick of the Tom Brady hasn't regressed shit, because he has regressed. And I try to explain it to people, but I like actually being on a Jets channel because people may actually agree with me with a bunch of AFC East guys, because you tell a Patriots fan and they act like you're sacrilegious. But if our argument was always Tom Brady can make anybody better, they can elevate him. Look what we did with Chris Hogan. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Look what we did with Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, guys who were okay, good, decent, you know what I mean? And they flourish in New England. Is that all Tom Brady? No, that's Josh McDaniels too. We saw a big difference between Josh McDaniels not being there and being there. There's a part of it. And then so that's always been the argument. That's why Tom Brady's the GOAT, right? He can make everybody better. He's got 6 championships, yada, yada, yada. All of a sudden last year, they have Mohamed Sanu, who can't catch the ball, Antonio Brown, who's just an idiot, all those kind of stuff. We gave Braxton Berrios away to the Jets, so you must have just been thrilled with him. And, you go you go through the whole thing. We had the worst receiving core that he's had since probably 2001, and you guys took our castaway. But you go through the whole thing. Why didn't he make them better? Because Tom Brady is a good quarterback with pieces around him. That's why he'd be good with the Chargers. He could probably survive, with the Raiders, who has things. But if he's not elevating, that's called regression. Is he still good? Yes. Is he what he was?
He was never good, Ray.
Oh, he's a system quarterback.
Man.
He is the greatest game manager in the history of the NFL with an 8-yard passing tree. Let me know something that he's thrown downfield and completed without Randy Moss, please, Ray.
Have you ever seen the video? I know the Patriots fans see the video, the Barry McCockiner video with the Tom Brady threw a 5-yard pass. Oh, look at all that space.
So hold on.
There.
I won't watch his videos.
Oh, that one video made me smile
because he blocked me on Twitter.
Oh. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. This is great, though.
Because I told him that he had some balls to be crying on his podcast about people making fun of his father when he made fun of Kawhi Leonard's dead father forever. Mm-hmm. Then he told me that I was butthurt, which, by the way, is the whitest fucking term in the world, and I absolutely hate it. He told me I was butthurt and then blocked me like a bitch, so I won't watch any of his stuff anymore, right? But here's what I talk about. I have never once said that Tom Brady's the best quarterback to ever play the game. He's not the best to ever play the game. He's the greatest to ever play the game. There's a complete difference between the best and the greatest. Okay. How many times have we watched Tom Brady lead a fourth quarter drive? And I'm not even going to get into 28-3 and all that, because I think that really that's an anomaly, and there's a lot of things that have to happen. I think Dante Hightower is more responsible for the 28-3 game than Brady was, right? But we've seen it time and time again. He's not the best. Aaron Rodgers is probably the best. Maybe Patrick Mahomes can take over one day, from a pure talent standpoint.
Sure.
But look at Lamar Jackson. 2 playoffs in a row. He was probably the best quarterback in the NFL this year. and he didn't look great in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
I think you need to dispel it by saying the greatest versus the most accomplished. I would say Brady is the most accomplished quarterback in the NFL, in the history of the NFL. He's the most accomplished. He has the rings, he has the titles, he has the comebacks, and also. But when you look at how he got those things, if D Ford does not line up off sides, that game's over.
Yes.
If the goddamn tuck rule. Son of a
No. I'm not even going to tuck rule.
I'm going all the way back.
If Pete Carroll can run a running play, that game is over. If Shanahan can run a running play, the game is over.
Hold on. But I can make that argument back the other way.
You could. No, I understand that.
If the referees blow the whistle and count Eli Manning as a sack, which they fucking call 9 out of 10 times, there is no helmet catch. There is no touchdown. The Patriots are undefeated.
That is the only Super Bowl that I believe the Patriots should have won. The 18-0 one is the only one that was legit. They were the best team. They should have won the Super Bowl. That game over. Okay, I'll give that one.
I think we were better than the Panthers.
But you beat Jake Delhomme, and
but we were the better team.
29 on you. I mean,
we were the better team. And I mean, but when we talk about clutch performances,
team. That's why I hate all this with this Brady talk about being a GOAT. It's the team, for crying out loud. Coach Belichick coaches the team. Defense wins championships. You know what? Of all the AFC Championship games that Brady has been in, his opposing quarterbacks have a 50 rating. They've thrown 20 interceptions. Brady's running backs have run for an average of 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Why does he even need to show up?
So again, you're not saying anything that's going to hurt my feelings here because
I'm just trying.
He's got all the rings. It's easy to say when you got the rings.
No. But it is. But I always break it down to when it counts, and that's the difference. Because let's go back to 2001, greatest show on turf, absolutely spectacular defensive performance.
They knew the plays. They knew the goddamn plays.
That has nothing to do with Tom Brady.
It doesn't have to know about Tom Brady.
Hold on.
Notice I didn't mention anything about spy anything.
And you know what?
I didn't mention anything.
Get me fired up.
Listen,
my hands are clean.
Spy, deflate footballs. I don't care if you're winning championships. It doesn't bother me. It bothers you guys. Okay?
It does. He's fired up.
Ryan, he's right.
So
look, if I could cheat and win football games, I'd be pretty friggin' happy too.
But when you go down to that game, does everybody watch this brilliant defensive performance? Nobody remembers that. You know what I remember? Under 2 minutes left. The goal line was legit. Under 2 minutes left. No timeouts at your own 20-yard line, and Brady everybody says the Vinatieri kick. It was a 48-yarder. But Brady drives his team. This is a rookie. This is basically a rookie. It's his first year as a starter.
Yeah.
Right? Who drives it? Clutch performance. He did the same thing against Carolina. Andy Reid,
they kicked the ball out of bounds, Ray. They tied it at 29. They kicked it out of bounds. They got the ball at the 40. He had to go 20 yards for crying out loud.
Okay, they tied, but it was tied. Okay, forget that. Andy Reid gave him Philly. They were down by 10 to Seattle. So, and again, if Kearse doesn't make that catch, everybody always talks about, if they run the ball. If Kearse doesn't fucking bobble the ball on his back and make a catch that never gets made, you know what I mean? That's a fucking 95% of the time that ball is falling to the ground. Seattle's not even in that position. It's 3rd and 10.
But that's a knock against the defense, not the offense. That's not a feather in the cap of the offense. And the fact is, when Tom Brady gets the MVP against the St. Louis Rams for throwing 145 yards, 75 being on the last drive, and you know what? Kevin Falk catching 35 yards of that's a joke to me. He had 145 yards passing.
But Super Bowl MVPs, I'd never take serious anyways. It always goes usually to an offensive player. Julian Edelman shouldn't have been the fucking Super Bowl MVP. That should have been Hightower or Gilmore. It's always going to go to an offensive. They couldn't give it to Brady against the Rams the second time. Couldn't give it to him, so they gave it to Edelman.
Time out.
Yeah. You know.
I swear to I have to stop, Ray, because honestly,
I'm muting both those guys. Matt, I muted both of them. I want to hear from you.
If you want to talk about free agency, Marcus Mariota is going to the Raiders.
No way, Marcus Mariota go to the Raiders. That's interesting. I did not know that. What do you guys think? Okay, before I keep going on with that, the question of the day, guys, down in the description down below. Head over to the Jets Discord. You'll see the link in the description. In 1995, the Jets passed on a player and took Kyle Brady instead. Which player were Jet fans chanting that they wanted? Head down to the description down below, hit the Discord link, head down to the poll section, and vote. You get your shot to win a hat or a shirt or a mug or something like that from the Jets Talk store. Matt, what do you think about Marcus Mariota going to the Raiders?
Apparently Mike Mayock really liked him coming out of the draft. I am not a Marcus Mariota fan. I didn't like him coming out. I don't really like him at this point now. I wouldn't move on from Derek Carr for Marcus Mariota. If he's your backup to push Carr, I guess that's fine. Even though I'm not really the biggest Carr fan either, but I guess that takes him out of the Tom Brady running if they were really ever in it. It's a fine backup, I guess.
Let's talk about that. Now that we have the Patriots guy here, he's here for another 6 minutes. And you know what? I'm going to keep Mario and Matt on after Ray leaves. But where do you guys think that Tom Brady goes? Does he go back to the Patriots or is he going somewhere else? We've heard the Bucs might be a strong push at some point. I don't know what their plans are right now.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm exhausted of this topic.
I'm so done talking about fucking Tom Brady's free agency, but no, I've stood pretty strong that it's going to be the Patriots. I said it back in January when all these teams came out. I said the market isn't this deep. People don't want a 43-year-old quarterback. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And then when I look at someone like Tampa Bay, and I get it from a football perspective, that makes sense, but you got to think about the TB12 centers. You got to think about this 199 productions. You got to think about it's already established in New England, so that doesn't matter. Coming back to New England, it's business as usual. That's why the Chargers always made sense to me. If he was going to leave New England, go to LA, go with all the Hollywood type. Everybody can start doing the TB12 diet, and it's a good sell. I don't think he's going to go if he goes to Tampa Bay, I'm going to be shocked, to be honest. I wouldn't be shocked if he goes to LA, but I've always leaned towards he's probably going to come to the Patriots. But I don't know though, because Robert Kraft has given Bill Belichick, carte blanche on re-signing him, which means he's completely pushing the buck to him. So if he doesn't re-sign, he's the scapegoat, right? And everybody can hate Belichick even more than they already do in New England. Because anyways, fuck, I don't know. Maybe he'll be a Jet.
God, don't you put that bad juju on me. I want nothing to do with Tom Brady. Tom Brady 10 years ago, you could talk me into it. Tom Brady now, I'm just spiteful at this point. Matt, where do you think Tom Brady goes?
I think he's going back to New England. I think part of it's I can't picture him in another uniform. I know that's really a lame reason, but I've just watched him kill this Jets team for year after year after year. I can't see him running to Tampa Bay or the Chargers at this point. I don't know. I just can't picture it. So I'm going with the cop-out answer of him going back to New England and giving it one more kick at the can.
What do you think, Mario?
Am I unmuted?
I'm unmuted.
I swear to God, you and Maddie look like two kids when their parents were arguing. You guys are like, what's going on? But
Dad!
For the reasons that Ray said, as far as 199 Productions, TB12, I think he would like to market himself in LA to do that, and he'd like to be there. I'm sure Giselle would love to be there. I agree with Matt 100%. I can't see him in another jersey. I really can't see him in another jersey. But you know what? And it's funny because a lot of Bills fans were saying because Brian Daboll fell off of the tree as well in New England tree. He's running a similar offense, the EP system in Buffalo. Hey. You know what? The Buffalo Bills should sign Brady to a 1-year deal to try to mentor Josh Allen. And I seriously, you know what? I'm not prone to put people through tables, but I would love to put someone else through tables. But Brady would never take a side gig like that. He's out to prove that it was him, not Belichick. So wherever he goes, he's going to go to the best chance that he feels that he's going to win and try to beat New England. And that's what he's going to do.
So the reason I had originally thought the Chargers, when this all started, was because they're playing the AFC East this season. Brady could go against Belichick, kind of prove that he is the reason for these championships. Maybe not so much Belichick, regardless of if you think you could change people's opinions or not. But they play the AFC East. So if he were to beat the Patriots this year on another team, I think he's one of 4 or 5 players that have beaten every single NFL team then. So I think that's kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. He goes back to Cal. Goes back to Cal. He went to school at Cal, right? I think that's where he wound up going. And then
He went to
He went to Michigan, but he's from California.
He's from
That's what
Cal.
it was. From California. I think he could put. Colin Cowherd says it a lot with the whole mogul stage, like LeBron James went to LA to try and set up his post-career lifestyle. And I could see that maybe happening with Brady, but I feel like the Chargers are such a transplant kind of team in LA that I think Brady could sell out a stadium, but I don't know if you'll really have the same kind of effect that you have in New England. Someone else brought this up to me too, was that when Kraft bought the Patriots, it was for some like small amount, and since Tom Brady has been there, the value's like if they sold the Patriots right now, they're probably a $6 billion franchise. So Kraft owes Tom Brady the world, and I would think that if they can keep him in a New England uniform, they're going to do anything they can. That's sort of my take on that.
So that sounded like such a Patriots answer. Good for you. Sounded like an honorary member of Pat's Nation.
It's just sort of what I've like I can see it. I can see it happening.
You know what I mean? Brady or Kraft and Belichick owe so much to Tom Brady. The 199th overall pick, the guy who couldn't start at Michigan, the guy that nobody in the world, no 31 other teams wanted no chance of. I think people always forget that part of his origin story. That the only scout that called Michigan was New England. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, the only scout from the NFL to call Michigan was. And look, I love me some Tom Brady. You just heard, a Bills fan trying to argue with me about great quarterbacks, but I kid. Jim Kelly's the man.
Exclamation mark.
Jim Kelly's the man. Okay?
All right,
Jim Kelly's, but no. So I don't think that they owe him anything. I think that he can't turn around and say, I want you to get me weapons and give me $30 million at the same time when they have $21.2 million in salary cap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look, that's going to be an issue. It's going to be a problem. Now, Ray, I know you got to get going. You going to come back on the cockpit at some point?
Absolutely. I will. As long as Mario's not there, I'm good, man.
I think I have to have on. I like the fire that's going on here.
No, but and this is no offense to the Jets guys. You've been really great, but Mario, I'm gonna send you a message because we are gonna finish this debate on Sportscaster.
I'm all for it.
In front of a Patriots audience.
Let's do it. I'll get tortured. I know it.
And because I'll say some bad things about Brady, so they'll hate us both equally.
Can I just tell you something though? I have probably uncomfortably, I'm going to admit this, I've studied Brady's career more than a Bills fan should. I'm just going to let you know that right now.
Just so you know, from my experience with Bills fans, all of you have fucking know more about Tom Brady than I do half the time.
That's good.
And we gifted you Drew Bledsoe, and you did nothing with him.
Hey, Belichick was willing to part with him, and then I knew that was trouble.
We gifted him, and that was our. Listen, I got to give a shout out to Bledsoe. I don't know if you're a Bledsoe fan or what it was, but I don't know how. Okay,
huge.
Here's my thing about Bledsoe. Then if I could leave with this, and I'll let you guys actually speak, because I know I talk a lot. I'm a wop. What do you want, right? But I don't know if you guys know that. That's an Italian. That's a Canadian thing we say about Italians. Sometimes we say weird shit here that Americans don't understand.
Without papers. I got you. Go ahead.
Yeah, without papers. So I'm Italian, so I talk a lot. But the Patriots were in the dark ages for a long time. And regardless of what people want to say, it wasn't Tom Brady that brought the Patriots out of the dark times. It was Drew Bledsoe. The Patriots organization turned around the day they drafted Drew Bledsoe. I know that Favre came around and smacked around the Patriots. It's not Bledsoe's fault that our defense couldn't stop him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yep. Brady kind of took it to the next level, right? Or Brady and Belichick, however you want to say it. They went to the next level. But Bledsoe was the one. We were nothing. When I became a Patriots fan, I think they were fucking 3-14 that year. That does not make sense. 3-13 that year. That's my math skills. That's Canadian education there for you. No, but we were 3-13. Bledsoe completely turned around that franchise. So I always have mad love for Drew. And like I said, my dad was pissed when Brady became the starter over Bledsoe. So and a lot of Patriot fans were. So I know a lot of people love to say that Brady, saved the franchise. He just kind of finished the job that Bledsoe started. That's what
the hell with Mo Lewis.
Fuck Mo Lewis.
God damn Mo Lewis. I want Mo Lewis off the Jets back in 99 or 2000, whatever. God damn it. Ruined us for 20 years. Ruined it for 20 years.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Ray, thank you so much for joining us.
I got to go over to Sportscaster now and do my show over there where I'm going to get told why Tom Brady's the greatest in the world, and people actually agree with me. So we're good to go.
There you go, brother. We'll have you back on another time.
I can't wait to watch that later. See you later.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. So that was a lot of fun with Ray. And let me see. I'm going to try and join this meeting on my secondary phone so we can click off of one of our... Which one is it? Which box am I trying to move?
You're trying to move...
I moved all you guys. So now Mario's next to me. Matt's below me. And...
That got intense.
Kind of hit. Oh, we got fired up. I think we got to take some calls. I think that's what's got to happen to kind of cool some people off. Now, guys, I'm going to shorten this to a question. So I want you guys to ask the question because Matt and Mario are not going to be able to hear the question. So I'm going to put the number on the screen at some point. Here it is. Now I just got to shrink it down. And whoops, that's not shrinking it down. How do I shrink it down? There's a little arrow. Bam! All right. Phone number going up on the screen.
After if you do the number, there's the number. Ladies and gentlemen of Jets Talk 24/7, make sure you follow. If you're not following, make sure you follow Ryan. Make sure you follow Matt. And we are currently 15 likes away from Ryan putting me through a table. So make sure that you hit that like button and just light it up, man. He's going to end up putting me through a table. And just to give you guys some dimensions, I'm 6'5", 250 pounds.
I'm 5'9". I'm 180 pounds, 185 pounds soaking wet.
So we're going to have some device hooked up so he can do that and put me through a table. But this is 5 streams in a row. I'm assuming, right?
It absolutely is. We just got our first phone call. Matt, hang in there real quick. I'll get to your phone call in just a second. Guys, in the description down below, there is a link for a question on the Jets Discord. So click on the Jets Discord down below. Head down to the poll section. In 1995, the Jets selected Kyle Brady. There was a player that Jet fans wanted the Jets to take that the Jets did not take. Who is that player? If you get the question right, I'm going to raffle off a hat or a mug or a shirt or something like that from the Jets Discord store. So make sure you head down there and vote for that. Matt, thank you so much for calling in. What's your question?
All right, who do you think that we're going to go after now? Since a good part of the market's already gone.
All right, so good question, Matt. Matt asks, who do we think the Jets are going to go after now that the market has pretty much dried up for the really big offensive linemen? Matt, I'll throw it to you first. Is there someone you see the Jets particularly trying to go after?
I'm still a really big fan of Brian Bulaga. I know I mentioned his name earlier in the stream, but I would really like to see him brought in on the right side. And supposedly they're interested in – I just want to scroll back and see if I can get these names. Wisniewski and Van Rotten from the Panthers. So I think I'd prefer Wisniewski of those two. He's a year older, but I think he's the better of the two. I would be okay with that. I mean, it's not as flashy as a Joe Thuney or a Conklin or someone of that stature, but I would be happy if at the end of free agency you came away with those two pieces and the mindset of taking a lineman at 11.
Yeah, I think the Jets at this point, I really want to take a lineman at 11. It's scaring me that the Cardinals are probably going to take a lineman. The Giants could, in theory, if they don't want to take Isaiah Simmons, take a lineman at 4. Mario, do you think there's someone that the Jets should be targeting, whether it be an offensive lineman or a player in general?
Well, I'm just trying. Like I said, I was just looking. No official word on Eric Flowers. Is there any official word on Eric Flowers?
I heard he was going to Miami.
Yeah, he signed.
3 years, $30 million.
There he goes to Miami. Good Lord. Anyway, all that stuff happening. But, I mean, at 11, you have a solid piece if you want to re-sign Beachum, and then you end up going at 11 with another tackle. You're able to solidify at least two pieces of that line. Like I said before in the stream, I love going after offensive line talent or defensive line talent. I think it solidifies your team. It gives you a 4-year guy. I know back in the day it used to be like, okay, we're gonna draft this guy in the top 10. He's gonna go there, and he's gonna stay there for 15 years. And then he'll get a jacket one day. But the one thing that is very, very important, if the Jets want to double down, and I know if they're thinking about going offensive line in the draft, here's what they could do is that they could trade out of the 11th pick because it's a highly sought after pick because with the way that it works is if you're drafted in the top 10, you get top 10 money. If you're drafted in 11 through 32, your fifth year option is 3 through 25, the average of those salaries. So if you're able to get the 11th is the one you want. So there's going to be a lot of teams jockeying to get up to that 11th pick for the Jets. And if the deal is sweet enough, hey, we're going to give you a first rounder next year and a second rounder this year. Okay. They could double up with a lot of different offensive linemen, wide receiver help, edge rushers. They could do a bunch of different things to help their team and to be very competitive in the AFC East.
Yeah, look, at this point, I think the offensive line market has kind of dried up on the Jets. I think Bulaga is someone that I would be all right moving on with now. He wasn't high on my list, but when the other three guys are off, I still like Jason Peters. He's 38 years old, but he's had a really good last few years for the Eagles. He's been a little bit injured, but he's not going to cost you, the draft pick that Trent Williams is going to cost you. There's the connection with Joe Douglas. I think offensive line-wise, you're going to have to go through the draft. You're going to have to use that 11th pick on a lineman. You're going to have to get a center probably in the third round. I think you're probably going to take a wide receiver in the second. But for me, if I'm looking at the remaining wide receiver or the remaining free agents that are out there for the Jets to potentially get, Dante Fowler is a name that I really like. I know there's some rumors about Jadeveon Clowney. I would punch a midget if I had to, if we got Jadeveon Clowney. Now, look, I would be very happy. He's a very, stud player, but he gets a lot of penalties. He's injured a lot. So I really don't want to pay him over $20 million a year. I don't see it happening anyway. I would like Dante Fowler. Brashad Perriman are the two guys I really like. Now, I think Matt and I were talking about this before in our group chat with Green Bean and David, who will be on tomorrow night for the Talking Jets panel at 8 o'clock. I think the Jets are going to get Robbie Anderson back. We haven't heard any news on Robbie all day today. We didn't hear any. Yeah, we didn't hear any news on Amari Cooper either. So the wide receivers, you could tell there's a little bit of a delay. I think probably because of the draft class. What do you guys think about that?
I agree with you. I definitely think it has something to do with this draft class. We've heard all offseason long how stacked it is, and I think you could find some really good talent in the first two rounds to come in and play on day one and give you some production. I wouldn't be surprised if Robbie Anderson came back at this point. I think if he was leaving, we would hear some teams at minimum being interested. We haven't even gotten any of tweets of that this team is looking at Robbie Anderson or this and that. It's been radio silence, so I think that's a positive sign for the Jets.
I agree. I think it's a good thing for us. I'm going to open the phone lines again, so if I cut you guys off, it's because we got another caller in. But give the guys and the in the cockpit, the passengers, a chance to voice their opinion. And we got another phone call. Wow, that was fast.
Call from
Bernard from North Carolina.
Bernard from North Carolina. How you doing, brother? What is your question?
Yeah, how you doing? Yeah, I wanted to ask you, of course, extend greetings to your panel and ask you about the Jets and the draft. Since the offensive line market appears to be drying up, do you think it's almost a certain thing that they're going to draft an offensive lineman in the first round?
Ooh, good question, Bernard from North Carolina. Bernard says, do we think it's a dead given that the Jets are taking an offensive lineman at 11? Matt, I'll throw it to you first. What do you think? We were kind of going over it just a little bit with, earlier in the broadcast, but what do you think about the whole situation with the Jets at number 11?
It's a little sketchy because there are teams in front of you who are, have a need at that position. The Arizona Cardinals are definitely a team that we just talked about where it would make sense for them to go O-line. We thought maybe CeeDee Lamb for the connection with Kyler Murray or Jerry Jeudy just because, Larry Fitzgerald's a million years old. He's still great, but he's a million years old, and you got to get a number one receiver in there at some point. But the move they made today, they're not taking a wide receiver at, where are they, 8?
8, yep.
Yeah. So I think they are going to definitely look at an offensive lineman. I would not be surprised. Maybe the Chargers might go offensive line.
We were talking about that. We're saying if they wind up going with like a Winston or a veteran quarterback and they're not necessarily sold on getting the third quarterback in this draft, you could see them take the top tackle in this draft. They just traded their tackle to Carolina to get the guard. Now, I think you're right. I think the Cardinals are definitely going with an offensive lineman. You don't trade for I see Mario with his finger up. What's he talking about? Oh, thank you very much for the $1 donation, Costas Katsoulis.
Adam Schefter just tweeted out 2 minutes ago, former Seahawks offensive tackle George Fant reached an agreement with the Jets on a 3-year, $30 million deal. It includes $13.7 million in guaranteed money. So the offensive tackle that was just in Seattle is now in New York, guys. There you go.
All right,
Oh,
all right.
thank you for the breaking Jets news.
Breaking
Yeah,
Jets.
6'6", 250. No, it can't be 250. What's going on here? No. So let me just try to get some information for you guys as you continue to take callers.
I'm jumping on Pro Football Focus right now. I'm going to try and see if I could find what.
Well, he's a guy that doesn't have a lot of legs underneath him. He's 27 years old. He has played in 46 games, started 24 of them. It looks like he's a fresh-faced guy who's going to have another year on his deal before you have to sign him to something. He was drafted. Let me see here. Draft history doesn't show it. So I apologize for that. He's 322, 6'5", 322 tackle.
So Pro Football Focus grades right now. 2016, he's got three grades. Okay. 42.8, 73.8. Then he took a little bit dip, 60.6. This past year, he had a pass block grade and a run block grade of the exact same grade of 58.8. So I don't know how you get a 60.6 after getting two 58.8s, but that's, some Pro Football Focus math right there. I'll be honest, I don't know a whole lot about him. I saw Russell Wilson running for his life all season, so I have a hard time really putting a lot of stock in him. That contract surprises me, and I'm hoping Joe Douglas knows a little bit more about this than I do right off the cuff. It's a
but
little...
you have to realize something in the Seattle Seahawks games that he's played in.
Yeah.
The ones that he started, he was 1, 2, 3, 4.
It looks like he only played in like 5 games.
In 2018, there were 6-1 in games that he started. So
okay.
Russell probably wasn't running around too much that game. It kind of split in his rookie year in 2016, and last year it seems like he was starting and then not starting. So I don't know if the consistency of this guy is going to be something that's kind of crazy, or if it's something that the New York Jets see something in him. But 3 for 30 is a good kicking the wheels on a guy. You know what I mean? So we'll have to see they're only giving him $13 million guaranteed. So if after next year they decide to cut him, it doesn't seem like it would be too daunting for them. But at 6'5", 320, I'd kick the tires on any guy that big. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just have a hard time. $10 million, it's not a lot for a left tackle, but it feels like a lot for this guy. I would rather bring back Kelvin Beachum on a $12 million contract than for 1 year than 3 years at $30 million or $10 million a year. I mean, initial reaction without knowing too much about him, I got to do a little bit deeper dive here, but I have a hard time getting excited.
I'll just transfer this over to the Buffalo Bills real quick.
Sure.
Buffalo Bills, we signed Quinton Spain, who was a starter last year, and according to Pro Football Focus, didn't give up a single sack at the left guard position. He was signed 3 years, $15 million total. So that's a depth signing. They're getting their insurance policy now. So this guy could be, in that respect, an insurance policy.
So Cooper Johnson in the chat actually says 462 snaps with 2 sacks and 1 penalty. So hey, you know what? Maybe Joe Douglas is watching that. Yeah, I can get on board with that. I didn't realize it was going to be quite so good.
Thank you, Cooper. That's pretty awesome.
That's a pretty cool stat. Look, it's good that the Jets are addressing offensive line. We're going to have to kind of hunt some of these bargain bin sort of guys. The Jets need bodies more than they need quality, I think, at this point. You need depth. You need a lot of players. And people are going to rise through the ranks. We've seen the last 2 off seasons, the Jets have gone all out on players, and we have fallen flat on our face. Mosley last year looked phenomenal for half a game, and we paid him $17 million to ride the pine the rest of the year. Le'Veon Bell, paid him a ton of money. I love Le'Veon Bell, but we didn't use him right. Fell flat on our face. The year before, Tremaine Johnson, gave him a bucket load of money. We're still paying that off. I think going with these bargain bin kind of guys are probably a little bit better option for the Jets and more of a Joe Douglas kind of feel, if you will.
I love the fact that in the chat, Luis Sanchez says Fant over Balaga, and then Danda Panda says, who the hell is Fant? Believe me, there have been a lot of the offensive linemen that the Buffalo Bills signed last year that we were able to solidify this line. I was like, who's this guy? What? You know what I mean? But they were able, if you ask Ryan and Matt, would you like to have the Buffalo Bills offensive line?
Absolutely.
There you go. So, and it also speaks to the offensive line. And he said Fant over Balaga. It doesn't mean it doesn't necessarily take Balaga off the table. They just can still be talking to him. So,
yeah, I think so. I think the Jets are still probably going to focus on the offensive line. Like, I think they try to bring back Alex Lewis to play left guard. We have Edoga at right tackle. We're going to need a guard at to replace Brian Winters. Unless they're planning to hold on to Brian Winters, we still haven't seen him cut. And Joe Douglas did speak sort of highly about him. I mean, it was sort of he's our only returning day one starter still under contract, which isn't a very, high praise thing. You could save $7.5 million by cutting the guy, and I don't think he's really earned his money over the last few years. So I think the Jets aren't done, and maybe this move, could Fant possibly challenge Edoga for a tackle spot, and maybe we still take a left tackle at 11, Matt?
I can't stand Chuma Edoga. I think I think he is a maybe best case scenario, like your sixth offensive lineman. Yeah, I don't see.
I'm fine with that. I can understand that thought process. I just think we spent a 3rd round pick on him. It seems like the Jets are high on him to an extent, so let the guy at least compete for a starting role.
I don't think this takes them out of the running to draft a tackle at 11. If that's the question, then no, I don't think so. Maybe he starts maybe he could start on the right side and have the 11th overall start on the left side. That's maybe something that I can get behind. But I don't want if Edoga's starting for you this year, I think that you're in bad shape for the offense.
Now, I don't want to step on the Jets' toes here. I just want to say this as a general narrative. A lot of times when a cornerback has reached a certain age, they tend to try to transition these guys to safety to extend their careers. They know about the offense. They know about being a pro and all this other stuff. Sometimes when a tackle has reached his max, they try to slide this guy in.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think that there's a possibility that Fant could be slid in because maybe the Jets project him more as a guard than a tackle, and then they end up signing Balaga, and then they have drafting a left tackle? How would you guys think of that scenario with Fant at guard, with the limited amount of time that you guys know they signed him? Fant at guard, Balaga at right tackle, and they draft for left tackle. What do you guys think of that scenario?
I think it's possible. I'm not against it. We've kind of discussed the ability of Edoga getting kicked into guard, so I think Fant going into guard is also a possibility.
Yeah, he's huge. God damn, he's huge.
I still don't think you. I think you have to still go offensive lineman in the first round. Like, this isn't like a needle mover for me. Guys, before we keep going on this, there's a link in the description down below to the Jets Discord server. Go join that. There is a poll question in the poll section, so head down to it. If you want a chance to win a shirt, a hat, or a mug from the Jets Talk store, I'm going to raffle that off in about a half hour. The Jets management did not listen to their fans in 1995 and took tight end Kyle Brady with the 9th overall selection. Which player did Jet fans want the Jets to select instead? Go over to the Jets Discord, answer it there. I'll raffle it off at the end of the show. Guys, I want to jump into another phone call, so I'll pull that up, and I will kind of halt you guys if we get another call.
Gotcha.
But, look, I think offensive line-wise, I don't think the Jets are done. Fant, I'll have to do a little more research on him, but like the comment said before, 400 and something snaps, 2 sacks, 1 penalty. I could get behind that. And we got our next caller coming in now.
Call from
Thomas Peglon.
Thomas, what's up, brother? Welcome to the cockpit. What's your question?
Hello?
Hello, Thomas. What's your question, brother?
How's it going? So I just got the update about this George Font guy, and
oh, we just dropped him. I apologize. So we'll get to the next caller. Sounds like I heard a little bit of a sigh at the end of it. I just got the notification for this George Fant guy, and then hung up. I think that might have been the entire Jet Nation is kind of, oh, here comes another caller.
Call from
Ethan.
Ethan, what's up, brother? Welcome to the cockpit. What is your question?
With all these wide receivers like AJ Green now being tagged, and I think Amari Cooper might end up back in Dallas, or probably will. Like, I don't want us to get suckered in to Robbie Anderson, but do you think the Jets are going to end up paying him what we shouldn't?
Ooh, okay. So he says with these wide receivers possibly staying with who they are currently with, like Amari Cooper possibly going back to Dallas, AJ Green getting tagged and going back to the Cincinnati Bengals, Are the Jets going to pay Robbie Anderson maybe something that they shouldn't because of the dried up wide receiver market? Matt, what do you think about that?
I guess it depends on what your definition is of something that they shouldn't. For me, I would go up to $14 million a year for Robbie Anderson.
Okay.
I don't think he has reached his fullest potential because his quarterback has gotten hurt in each of the years that he's played. In 2017, McCown missed 3 games and Bryce Petty had to play. Bryce Petty, as we know, was terrible. In 2018, Sam Darnold gets hurt and an awful version of Josh McCown plays for 3 games. We know that Sam Darnold missed mono for 3 games this year, and you had Luke Falk come in and play. So right then and there, maybe 2 out of the last 3 years, he pushes for 1,000 yards, and that touchdown number might start to look closer to the double-digit mark. I think he provides a unique skill set in the sense that he's, a deep threat who has a little bit of a better route tree than some people like to believe. And he also stays healthy. A lot of these deep threats don't stay on the field. If you look at Deshaun Jackson and Will Fuller, they both, struggle to stay on the field. And he's still young. He's 26, going to be 27. So
yeah.
I think I would go up to 14, I think, for Anderson.
So Matt, I don't know if you're watching the chat, but you got some angry people at you saying 14 million a year. I think so. I agree. I think the Jets are in prime position to bring Robbie back, and I think we'll get him for cheaper than we sort of thought. The whole $13 to $15 million a year range that Robbie wanted. Now, that being said, Matt didn't say that he should get $14 million. He said he would go up to $14 million. So I think that's a clear thing we want to sort of make a point about. Now, last year, Tyrell Williams got 4 years, $44 million from the Oakland Raiders to be the number 2 wide receiver behind Antonio Brown. I've said from the beginning that I think you give Robbie Anderson $1 million a year more. He's 4 years, $48 million. You bring Robbie back, you keep him with Sam. I think that makes a lot of sense to me.
Whoa. Time out. Was he signed before or after AB?
I think he was. I thought AB was traded.
I thought he was signed before.
No,
see, that's the craziest part.
Didn't free agency because you guys almost got Antonio Brown before free agency started.
Well, there was a phone call from Bean, but
he got traded not too much later, I thought.
Yeah, I could have thought Tyrell went there first because we had a fantasy draft and I drafted Tyrell Williams because I thought he was going to be the number 1, and then everyone was drafting Antonio Brown. I was like, Antonio Brown won't be there very long. But
okay, so maybe I'm wrong.
But Matt brings up a great point. You're talking about a guy that has played with subpar
Antonio Brown trade March 10th last year. So I'm pretty sure free agency started after that.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that being said, here's a guy that's been able to maintain a 15 yard per catch in lieu of playing with guys that are subpar competition. Like you said, he's had touchdowns of 2, 7, 6, and 5. But that would be exponentially greater if Darnold played a full 16-game season. And in those 2 seasons that he's played of the 4, he's played at least 15 games. So he has been on the field enough to – and people like to dispel the deep threat of Robbie Anderson. He's sneaky fast. I mean, he just gets behind the defense. He's a talented player. I'm in 100% agreement with Matt. In fact, if you have to go up to pay him $14 million. But here's the thing about it, and the caller brought up a great point. If all these guys end up going off the board, you end up having to pay $14 million. I think you do. I think as the Jets you do because you have the money to pay him. He's familiar with the system. He's familiar with Darnold, and he's a guy that doesn't come around very often as far as deep threat. And you can use your 11th round pick or 11th overall pick on a tackle, so you don't have to worry about signing that wide receiver.
That's kind of where I fall. I think the Jets should bring him back. I think he'll get around that $12 million a year range. And like Matt and Mario have said, he does provide a unique skill set. And I really want to harp on the thing Matt said with the injuries. You see Deshaun Jackson getting hurt all the time. Will Fuller is never healthy. Those hamstrings, they get pulled and it just lingers with guys. You see it with OBJ. OBJ is the same way. He gets hurt with the hamstring and it just cripples him. Robbie Anderson has been available for when I did my video, I want to say it was 97 or 98% of the games played. So I think you can't undervalue that if you're a Jet fan, if you're Joe Douglas. I think Robbie is probably going to come back, and I would welcome him back with open arms. And I'm going to bring up another caller. So I'll pull that over to there. Guys, we got 393 people in the chat. Head down to the description down below. There's a link in the Jets Discord for the poll question of the day. Jets management did not listen to their fans in 1995 and took tight end Kyle Brady with the 9th overall selection. Which player did the Jets take instead? Go answer that down in the description below, down in the poll section. You'll get your chance to win a shirt, hat, or a
Call
mug.
from Chris from Florida.
Oh, boy. It's my boy Chris from Florida. What's up, brother?
Jets, Jets, baby! Let's go in this market all high and quiet, right, baby?
Wow, Chris coming in with the heat. What's your question, brother? I'm gonna answer. We're gonna get to the question and we're gonna talk about it. So I'm gonna cut you off a little bit shorter tonight.
That's okay. Looking at it, just wanting you guys to give me your perspective, seeing how all of our high offensive linemen are getting cut real quick off the market. What do you guys think Joe Douglas's plan right now is, considering what's available and how he is still wanting to address the major issue of offensive linemen, and then he's got his draft class? Let's go, baby!
All right, Chris from Florida coming in with some heat. He's asking, with the offensive linemen that have gone off the board, we've talked Conklin to the Browns, Glasgow to the Broncos, Eric Flowers went to the Dolphins, and Thuney went back to the Patriots. So who are the Jets going to try and target? We know they just got George Fant from the Seattle Seahawks, 3 years, $30 million, $10 million a year. It seems like a lot of Jet fans are slightly confused, but I think there's a high upside for this guy. Who else could the Jets possibly go out for? Are we done at tackle until the draft? Are we still going to look for a tackle in free agency? Do you think we try to look for a guard? Matt, I think you were talking about someone before from the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I think you're looking at a guard at this point. I think it's one of those two guys that I mentioned earlier that you're going to look at. I just want to pull it back up because I had their Pro Football Focus grades as well. Wisniewski was the 16th ranked guard by Pro Football Focus, and Van Rotten was the 23rd ranked guard by Pro Football Focus.
So Wisniewski seems like the guy that we should probably be going after as far as guard play goes. Mario, you think there's anyone else the Jets should go after as far as offensive linemen in free agency before we attack the draft?
Well, the way that I've always seen the draft and how Paul and I have approached it at Hashtag Sports is the fact that you never draft a guard in the first round, unless it's Quentin Nelson. That's different.
That's the only guard that's worked out in the last 5 years.
He's a different animal. Xavier Su'a-Filo is a name that's been thrown out quite a bit as far as a guard who was taken in the second round by the Texans. He's now in Dallas. He's hitting free agency. He's 28 years old. He's a guy that can move some bodies for you if you need it. But as far as guards go, those are the guys you take second, third, fourth round. Okay, you don't take those guys in the first round. If you feel if the Jets are feeling that, okay, we have solidified enough pieces in free agency because you got a month, and you know what, a lot of this stuff's going to be done remotely because you can't meet with any of these guys because of what's going on in the world. So a lot of these things, a lot of these late breaking moves might cross each other in the mail. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to be able to meet with these guys. If the New York Jets are able to solidify a lot of things that they're going to have to do this upcoming free agency period, then it gives them carte blanche at the draft. Okay, you could draft a tackle at 11, you could draft a guard, in the second round. You could do whatever you want. So it's just how many boxes can the Jets check before they get to the draft, in my opinion. Otherwise, if you don't get any kind of guards, I expect them to get 2 or 3 more linemen. I expect them to sign 2 or 3 more linemen, like a Fant probably, as a depth signing. That's what I think the Jets are going to do.
So Nick Weil in the chat says Connor McGovern. I'm going to try and pull up his stats. Was he center for the Packers? Is that where he was?
No, for Denver, I believe.
Denver. Oh, you're right. Let's see, McGovern. He was the 11th ranked center by Pro Football Focus. His grades over the last 3 years, so 3 seasons he's played. 2017, he was a 49.2, went up to a 58.3. Last year was a 71.9. So the guy's trending in the right direction. As the 11th overall center, I would absolutely be on board with this. I think it frees up your pick in the draft to potentially go after maybe a corner in the 3rd round, and really solidify some of those interior areas of the Jets line. Matt, what do you think of Connor McGovern?
I would definitely look to bring him in. I definitely think you need another guard in here. I'm not sold on Brian Winters. I think he is definitely a cut candidate. You would save a decent chunk of money if you decided to do that. and they don't have a lot of other options really at the guard position right now. Alex Lewis is a free agent. I wouldn't mind bringing him back, but I think that would certainly be, an upgrade to the interior offensive line. So I'm for it. I definitely would do it.
All right, guys, before we get to the next caller, down in the description down below, there is a question of the day. It's in the Jets Discord. Click on the link for the Jets Discord. You get your shot to win a hat, shirt, or mug or something like that from the Jets Talk store. Jets management did not listen to their fans in 1995, took a tight end, Kyle Brady, with the 9th overall selection. Which player did the Jets fans want instead? We're going to jump to the phones and see who has another question next. Remember, let's keep these questions short because Mario and Matt are unable to hear the questions on
Call
your end.
from
Vinny, brother. Vinny, brother, what's up, dude? Welcome to the cockpit.
What's up? How you been? By the way, the video in question is Brady's worst picks to ode to joy.
Brady's worst picks to ode to joy, says
best
Vinny
part.
Matt. He's been. What's your question, Vinny?
All right. Well, I was wondering, I've been on Twitter, and I've seen people panic, over the fact that Joe Douglas hasn't done much. So why do you think people are overreacting, and what do you think are the moves he's going to make going forward with this offseason?
All right, Vinny, good question. So Vinny says he's been on Twitter and he's seen a lot of Jet fans freaking out that Joe Douglas is not making many moves. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it on Facebook. I've seen it on Instagram. People are messaging me left and right. I'm like, calm down. Why do you think Jet fans should be calm? And I think I would be calm if I'm a Jet fan because we've seen the last 2 years of the Jets spending buku money in free agency and it hasn't gotten us anywhere. We saw it with the whole bring back Tyrell Williams, you bring in Antonio Cromartie. The Jets have not really done well with this approach. So I think we got to take another approach. I think you got to go through the draft. You got to build this team. You work with those second tier free agents, someone like George Fant. Now I think 10 million might be a little rich for what I was kind of thinking for a player I didn't really know about, but I got to do my research and it seems like he's not as bad as I had initially kind of considered. Matt, do you think Jet fans should be nervous or maybe not excited, but what should the Jet fans think?
I'm not excited yet. If I had to explain where I'm at, I guess lukewarm. I don't know. With Phantom, I'm on the fence about, I guess. I definitely think they need to do more at the offensive line position. And there are still names out there on the market to be had. Fowler hasn't signed yet. Robbie Anderson hasn't signed yet. We listed how many interior offensive linemen as well who haven't signed. So I think there's still more work to be done. And I'm not really ready to have a complete reaction until I know what the full free agency package is going to look like.
That's kind of how I feel as well. I think there's a lot of potential options outside of the offensive line scope that the Jets could kind of go after. Mario, what are you thinking as far as the Jets' lack of moves in this free agent period so far? Just the first day of the tampering period.
Well, I mean, okay, they're not going after names that you know. Okay, so I guess there should be some trepidation from the fans because, you want to have every great player on your team. And I understand that. Being a Bills fan, I would love for that to happen. Not many things have happened in the Buffalo Bills realm either. And my personal comment would be okay, just listen. I'd like to put the trust. If you have the trust in the organization that they're going to make the right move to build the team that has to be competitive, and I believe that to be so with the Jets. I believe that to be so with the Buffalo Bills. I believe in the front office. So at least the fact that they're not making these splash signings, I'm not too worried about it. Okay, this is what you need. You needed a lineman. You got a lineman. You got George Fant. He's not a household name. Okay, he's not a household name. If this guy has 467 snaps next year and only gives up 2 sacks, you'll love him. Okay,
sure.
So let's just pump the brakes a little bit. A lot of these, because we're so excited. Because I think as well, it's exacerbated the fact that there's been no sports at all for the past week. So everyone in New York, everyone in Buffalo, everyone around the country that wants to see all their teams sign players are like, why don't we have, and I understand that. I understand 100%, but just trust in the organization that you have and that they're gonna make the right moves and get the right guys for it.
So I made a video 3 days ago maybe about my predictions of where I thought players would go, and I've been way off so far. But one thing that I got a lot of hate for, and a lot of people were not happy with me, I said, look, I don't think the Jets are going to be a desirable location. I don't think Joe Douglas is necessarily going to go after the top dogs anyway. And a lot of Jet fans were like, oh, we should get Byron Jones, and we should get, Amari Cooper, and like rattling off all these guys. And you got to think, dude, there are a zillion teams that have a ton of more cap space than the Jets right now. And there's like 5 good offensive linemen, one of which didn't even hit the free agent market in Thuney. So really 4 maybe decent offensive linemen. And there's like 25 teams vying for these guys. Not to mention you're going to have real high taxes in New York. Not everyone loves the New York lifestyle. Yes, the Jets are in North Jersey, and there's some nice areas in North Jersey, but I don't think the Jets were a very desirable location for a lot of teams. Yes, Adam Gase could be part of that reason. I don't know. Matt, do you think Adam Gase is part of the reason we're not getting free agents here? Or the injury? We had the injury situation with Osemele too. Like there's been the petty fines with Nunwa. There's some issues to be talked about.
There definitely is. I think it could play a factor for sure. I know that not a lot of guys tend to usually like Adam Gase. Like when he got fired from the Dolphins, how many guys went to their Twitter account and had something to say? That's my thing with it. So I don't talk to these guys. It's not like I know what's in their head, but my assumption would be that he is not someone who is generally well liked. If you're going to give them a lot of money to go there, then I'm sure, yes, they would go and suck it up. And, maybe they could have a good relationship with him. But for me, I think that definitely plays a factor in it. And all the nonsense that went on last year, like you mentioned, Nunwa, Osemele, didn't Falk fire a grievance too?
Yeah, I think Falk filed a grievance. Osemele and Nunwa had issues. I mean, that's why I didn't really think the Trent Williams thing made any sort of sense, because he's upset with the Redskins medical staff.
Right.
It's sort of a side juncture. Do you think the Browns are still in play for a tackle at 10 since they got Conklin and they invested a lot of money?
Yeah, I still think so, because Conklin will play on the right side, and then you have whoever you draft at 10. I'm going to assume it's going to be Andrew Thomas play on the left side.
Wow. V-Man, thank you for the $5 donation. Breaking, Bill O'Brien is trading J.J. Watt and a 2021 first-round pick to the New York Jets for a container of Pringles, a pizza from Lombardi's. I like it. I would love this. And honestly, it's probably as realistic as anything we've heard today, because DeAndre Hopkins getting traded for peanuts is bananas. The fact that the Jets could not have been on that type of potential trade option is a little frustrating for me. But I'm going to jump into, let's hopefully get another caller in here. Let's see. Bam. Guys, down in the description down below, there's a link to the Jets Discord. There's a question of the day in the poll section. You get yourself entered to win a hat, a shirt, or a mug, or something like that from the Jets Talk store. Going to raffle it off at the end of this stream. Jets management did not listen to Jets fans in 1995 and took tight end Kyle Brady with the 9th overall pick. Jets fans wanted another player. Who was that player? Our next caller.
Dylan.
Dylan, what's up, brother? Welcome to the cockpit.
Hey, what's up?
What's your question, brother?
What do you guys think? The question is, what do you guys think about receivers plan? More of like leaning towards, do you think we should push more to the draft and go for like 3rd-round pick Michael Pittman, something like that? Or do you think that we should take our time and wait for Joe Douglas to make some maybe surprising moves in free agency and maybe go for like Perriman or something like that?
Ooh, Dylan, good question. Good question. All right, so Dylan wants to talk about wide receivers, and he says, what route do you think the Jets should kind of go? Should they wait a little bit and try to figure it out in free agency? Should they go into the draft looking to draft a wide receiver? He brought up Michael Pittman in the 3rd round. Matt, what do you think as far as wide receiver? I know we brought up Robbie Anderson. We kind of think he's probably coming back to the Jets. Let's talk if Robbie doesn't come back, and if Robbie does come back, what are you thinking we should do, Matt?
So in both instances, so if Robbie Anderson comes back, I still think you need to draft a wide receiver in like the 2nd or 3rd round. And if Robbie Anderson leaves, then I would try to sign someone like a Perriman, and then go same thing, repeat a wide receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round. I like Pittman in the 3rd. I think that's a pretty solid addition. I could also get behind, a wide
Justin
receiver.
Jefferson in the second. We were talking about, oh man, if Justin Jefferson fell to the second, I would go running up to the booth. Well, it might be a remote thing. We're not bringing up the C word.
Okay.
This is not we're not a regular news show. This is Jets talk here. But I like Justin Jefferson a lot in the second. Matt, is there anyone else that you kind of think the Jets could look at in the draft before you kick it over to Mario?
I mean, Jefferson would be, maybe T. Higgins falls to the second round. I mean, there's a lot of
Mims is one that could potentially fall.
Yeah, potentially. Like we talked about earlier, there's a bunch of guys in this draft who could go in the first or second round where you would feel, comfortable taking.
I'm pretty sure Mario just finished eating a lemon because he just made the biggest wince that I could have ever seen. Mario, what are you thinking as far as the Jets and the wide receiver position?
Okay, I just want to call a timeout and give a little bit of Bills history, and it's not going to take me very long.
Yeah,
2014, the Buffalo Bills traded up to get Sammy Watkins from Clemson, who had fully admitted that he had never run a full route tree. Okay,
so you're against T.
2020. T. Higgins has admitted he's never run a full route tree. I am not signing up for T. Higgins as far as the first round. As far as the first round goes, like I'm not investing a first round pick in T. Higgins. The Buffalo Bills have a lot of similar needs and things. Mm-hmm. Matt, I love your assessment on that and the fact that you have to bring a free agent guy in to mentor whatever receiver you're going to bring in. I mean, and you know what? The toughest part, and I wanted to comment on about the previous caller, was the fact that the players that you're going to bring in, it's not so much Gase because he doesn't have to play with they don't have to play with Gase. They have to play with Darnold. How many players want to come in and play with Sam Darnold? And you know what? And I've told you this, guy. I told you this till I'm blue in the face. I think Darnold is more polished than Allen. So that's the problem that Buffalo's having and trying to get free agent wide receivers to come here. Is this guy going to make me better? Is this quarterback going to make me a better wide receiver? Is he going to make me the leading receiver or whatever the case may be? However, the adjustment period for a wide receiver coming in as a rookie is so tough. I mean, there's very few Odells. There's very few Mike Evans. There's very few guys of that caliber that come in and make an immediate impact. There's an adjustment period. We see Corey Davis taken 5th overall. What has he done? You see a lot of these guys that are taken in the first round, and they just fall by the wayside. It's tough. But in that respect, I think that's why Matt was saying that you got to get a free agent guy in here first and then get a rookie to learn underneath him, and then so he has time to develop with Darnold. I love that in that respect. I hope I answered the question. I can't remember what it was.
No, you did.
But T. Higgins, no. Not in the first round. No.
He says T. Higgins, no. I agree with Matt. I definitely do. I think Robbie Anderson should probably be the Jets' first priority in terms of trying to retain their weapon. Then you have Jamison Crowder coming back. You're going to get Chris Herndon back. I think our tight end situation is pretty legit. Let's not forget about that. We didn't have Herndon last year. Mm-hmm. Sam was sick with mono, and yes, he only missed 3 games, but that lingers with you all season. That cannot be, understated. I think if the Jets don't get Robbie Anderson, Perriman, like Matt said, is someone I'm very high on. Funchess is another one that I think is kind of like a
big guy.
He's a big guy, but I think he hasn't really had the opportunity to be the guy. He was in Carolina. I don't really trust Cam as a quarterback per se, as a passer. He got injured last year in Indianapolis. I think you could see either one of those two guys that I would like to bring in. The Jets were connected to the Patriots receiver, Philip Dorsett. That was the kind of contingency plan, according to, I think it was Samini or who was the other one? Rappaport, maybe? I don't know who was bringing it up, but I'm not too thrilled on that. If I had to pick between Philip Dorsett at $5 million or Robbie Anderson at $12 million, I'm taking Robbie at 12 because I think you're going to get more value out of him. And I think, like Matt said earlier, with a healthy Sam Darnold for 16 games, another year in the system, you have Chris Herndon there, you have all these other... Last year was the worst case scenario for the Jets. I think Robbie Anderson can get double-digit touchdowns. I think he can get over 1,000 yards receiving. I'm bringing Robbie back, and then receiver in the second round is probably what I'm looking for. If the receiver you want isn't necessarily there, maybe you take a top center or a lineman in that sort of spot. Let's try to jump to another caller, but guys, head down to the description down below. There's a question of the day in the Jets Discord, so click on the link in the description for the Jets Discord. Jets management did not listen to their fans in 1995 and took tight end Kyle Brady with the 9th overall selection. Which player did Jet fans want in that selection instead? Head over to the Jets Discord, answer it in there. you have a shot at winning a hat, a shirt, or a mug or something like that from the Jets Discord store. Mario, what do you want?
Sorry. I said a quick question about Josh Doxson.
Yeah, okay.
What do you guys think about him?
I'm not a huge fan. Like, I don't think it changes. And I shouldn't say I'm not a huge fan. He had 500 yards, I think, roughly on average in his seasons. You need those guys that are going to get you the 500 yards. I don't think it changes your draft strategy. I don't think it changes your free agency strategy. Okay.
No, because I just wanted to throw out there once again, like, you got Doxson there. I understand that, but I just want to make it clear to Jets fans, and I hopefully you guys agree with me on this, is that if you get Robbie and you sign him, let's say Matt said he'll go up to $14 million, you're not only affecting what you pay Robbie Anderson. He on the field affects Herndon probably getting 50 catches and Jamison Crowder probably getting 85, 90 catches. So by having that presence of a guy that could stretch the field, he opens up so much more things underneath for you as far as the offensive scheme goes. So Herndon and both Crowder would benefit from a Robbie Anderson signing. And then that to me is worth $14 million. So I think that's why Matt was making his point earlier about that, is that he'll open up so many more things underneath for a developing quarterback for you.
100%.
We got Green Bean in the chat laughing about trusting the organization. Green Bean will be in here with us with David and O'Leary tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We're doing a 2-hour special. We're going to jump over to the phone lines. It looks like Grandpa Mark's trying to call in. I'm going to try and give him a call. I've called him twice the last 2 weeks, and let's see if he actually picks up for me. Okay. I don't know if he's going to do it.
Grandpa Mark.
Every time I try to, he's the only person I ever call because he pops up on here as Grandpa Mark. So I try it. I'm going to wind up getting his voicemail, and then I'm going to be like, Grandpa Mark, what the heck?
Please leave your message.
Oh! Okay, I didn't get him, so someone else call in. But, guys, head down to the description down below, answer that question. All right, phone call time.
Call from
Marcus.
To accept.
Marcus, what is up, brother? Welcome to the cockpit. What's your question?
It was Marcus. I had a question about if.
What is up, brother? Welcome to the cockpit. What's your question?
I had a question if Sam, about Sam Darnold. Do you guys really think he can actually get the protection that he's going to need for next season?
Ooh, okay, interesting question. Do you think that the Jets are going to get the protection needed for Sam Darnold for next season? How do you think that pans out, Matt? Do you think we actually upgrade the offensive line, and do you think Sam Darnold will have his feet under him?
I'm going to say yes, even though it's not off to the most promising start in the first almost 10 hours. There's still time, and there's still the draft. Joe Douglas, if he knows anything, it's offensive lineman. He played offensive line. All this guy does is probably study film on offensive linemen while he drinks a million coffees like Mike McCagnon used to. But I think that the plan is sign one more offensive lineman in free agency, and then maybe your first 2 picks are a tackle and then an interior offensive lineman in the second round. Maybe, somebody's there. Or Biedas from Wisconsin, or however you say his last name. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a Scrabble term. But throw a bunch of letters together.
Yeah, there's a Z in there. I don't know. But I mean, he should be there in the third round. In a bunch of mocks that I've seen, he has fallen, but I still think he's worthwhile to take in the third round and could potentially be a plug-and-play starter. So there's a lot of different ways that Douglas can go about it. I'm not ready to start crying that the offseason was a failure because of the first 10 hours of free agency.
Yeah, I'm not ready to grab my pitchfork just yet. Yeah, I really, really wanted Glasgow. That was probably aside from Thuney, Thuney wasn't going to hit the free agent market, unfortunately. But I've been on Glasgow about the whole center and guard option, and he only got 4 years, $44 million. I thought the Jets should have been able to beat that. And maybe they tried, and it wasn't from what I heard from Connor Hughes, I think the Jets did not attempt to offer a contract higher than that. So that's a little frustrating for me. I think the Jets will figure out the offensive line. I think last year we ranked 31st in offensive line. I think only the Dolphins were worse than us. And I think you're right, Matt. I think we take tackle in the first. I could see offensive line in the second round, like an interior lineman, whether it be a Biadaz or Ruiz. I think either one of those guys in the second could be there. I really want a wide receiver because I think you're going to get a first-round talent wide receiver there. But it's such a deep wide receiver class that you're probably going to get a really high-caliber wide receiver in the third round. We got 2 picks, and we got a very high third-round pick with that Giants third-round pick that we got from Leonard Williams. And I see Jacob talking about CeeDee Lamb in the chat, and I love CeeDee Lamb. I want a reason to sign CeeDee Lamb.
He seems very polished.
Dude, at this point,
he does, yeah.
because of the way free agency has gone so far, I don't believe the Jets are going to fix the offensive line from free agency. I cannot justify taking CeeDee Lamb at 11 when the offensive line needs to be the priority. Mario, what are you thinking for the Jets?
No, I was looking at my phone really quick, and it was official that the Raiders are going to sign Marcus Mariota.
Oh, okay.
It just came through. Just came through the wires. Just popped through. Here's what I think. I think it's all about. I think dominoes will fall. If the New York Jets, when free agency officially hits, it starts to get some of these offensive linemen. I mean, you got Fant. Everyone's going to be talking about, okay, they got Fant. They know depth signings. They know this and that. If you end up getting Balaga and you get McGovern, let's just say, just for argument's sake, you get those two guys. I think a lot of the other skill positions will then fall into place as far as, okay, hey, listen, they're rebuilding their line. They got Sam Darnold there. They got an offensive coordinator as a coach, even though he's a lunatic. Some things about what he does works. They got Le'Veon Bell. He's going to make me a better wide receiver, or he's going to make me a better tight end or whatever. That could be the fallout that happens from that. And then if that does happen, it does manifest. Let's say the New York Jets signed 3 offensive linemen, 2 skill wide receivers, and they ended up just picking up another back, for a 1-year deal for $3 million, just in case things with Bell don't really work out. Well, now that tilts the tables at the draft for the New York Jets, is they can go offensive lineman at 11 and then go a corner. They could take a cornerback with their second-round pick, and then they got that other high pick, as you said, from Leonard Williams. They could get another depth signing as far as a safety goes to kind of cover themselves with Jamal Adams if they don't think they're going to sign him. They have so many more options. When you take care of things in free agency and you double down or you get insurance policies, it leaves so much more room for mystery at the draft, because then no one knows where the Jets are going to go. Because if you go into the draft, I mean, like the Jets and the Bills did 2 years ago, we're like, they need quarterbacks. Okay, what are they giving up? This is what's going to happen. But in that respect, if they're able to do, I think the offensive line would be the key domino that has to fall first for players to be like, listen, all right, they're trying to make a difference. They solidified that line in front of Darnold. He's going to have time to throw. He can throw to me. I like the potential of this kid. I want to go there.
So NY Sports MC, another Jet channel, if you guys want to check him out, brings up Mario. Talk about Glenn and how much you think he could be worth. I think Cordy Glenn, the lineman.
Well, Cordy Glenn ran into some injury problems when he was in Cincinnati. He was very solid in Buffalo. You're never going to bull rush the guy. And only 50% of the time would you get around him to get to the quarterback. He was a really good left tackle. I wouldn't sign him to any more than a 2-year deal, maximum of like $15 to $17 million at this point. He may be one of those guys that I was talking about earlier that he's a tackle. You might want to slide him down to guard to extend his career. If you're planning on signing him more than 2 or 3 years, I'd be a little hesitant to sign him more than 2 years. But 2-year deal, he can work for you as a stopgap before you draft another guy.
I like it. All right, guys. This is going to be the last call. Head down to the description down below. There's a link to the Jets Discord. There's a question of the day in the poll section of the Jets Discord. In 1995, the Jets selected Kyle Brady with the 9th overall pick. What player did Jet fans want the Jets to sign? Answer that down below in the Discord and get yourself entered to win a shirt or a hat or a mug or something like that from the Jets Talk store. And we're going to try and take one more phone call before we answer that question. And let's see who it gets to. And then don't forget to tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to have the Talking Jets panel with me, Green Bean, O'Leary, and Gangrene David. So if you guys want to tune into that, by all means, do that. I see Grandpa Mark trying to call in again. He keeps popping up. He just keeps missing it. Come on, Grandpa Mark. I know you're doing it. I'm going to try calling him one more time. See if he actually picks up. Okay. He's not going to pick up for me, though. Come on. Pick up the phone. Come on, Grandpa. You could do it. It's the big button with the green. Yeah, he answered. Grandpa Mark. What's up, dude? Oh, sorry. I saw you kept trying to call in. Now, Mario and Matt.
Yeah, my phone's a real piece of crap. That's why. But anyway, I know you're just taking questions, so I'll make it short and sweet.
Good stuff.
So supposedly Jamal tweeted or posted somewhere that he wants $20 million a year over 5 years, so $100 million. And he prefaced that by saying he will not leave a dollar on the table. So if that's the case, boys, what do we do? Do we pay a safety $20 million a year, or do we move on? And with that, I will say goodbye.
Oh, Grandpa Mark, thank you so much for the question. It's a real kick in the taint, too.
Oh, boy.
So Grandpa Mark was talking about somewhere along the lines in one of Jamal's social media posts, he had expressed that he wants $20 million a year over the course of 5 years, and he's not going to leave a penny on the table. Guys, should the Jets pay $20 million for a strong safety? Matt, I'll throw it to you first.
No, $20 million. That's insanity. No, I would do 15 or 16 million dollars. I could get behind that. $20 million is legit insane. I would not go that high. No.
No, not I would. That I fall in the same like sort of thought process. Like Jamal's high out of his mind. Like I love Jamal. Would love you to be here. $20 million. I'm gonna kick you to the door first. I'll take my first. I don't even know if we get a first or third round pick if he's asking for that much. If that's how much he's asking for, I hold on to him for his 4th year, his 5th year. I franchise tag him. Maybe I tag him at like a time after that, and then I just let him walk. If the Jets can't get at least a first and a third for him this year, I can't justify paying a safety that much money. That's too much. I would go. I think what is it? Collins is getting 15, and I think the safety for the Bears is getting 15 too. And I would go 16. You might be able to get me to go 17. 17 even feels too rich for me, but I would not pay Jamal $20 million a year. That feels way too high. Mario, what are you thinking?
Well, let me just try to figure this out, because Buffalo Bills are running in the same problem with Trey White. We're wondering what, after Xavier Howard, Byron Jones, all these guys, Stephon Gilmore, all these corners in the AFC East have been paid. What are we going to pay Trey White? So drafted in 2017. He played in 2017, 2018, 2019. Okay, so he's got his 4th year to play this year. And then he has his 5th year option, which is probably going to be around $16, $17 million.
It's going to be a
franchise tag him.
So the 5th year option now, because the CBA went through, is actually different, and I think you're actually getting to it because it's performance based, not like average of the top 10 at your highest paid position. I think that they changed something, but you're right, yeah.
But the way that I was gonna, if he doesn't play it, is not for performance based. So let's put it this way: you could have him for 2020, you can have him for 2021 on his 5th year option. 2022 is a franchise tag, and the old franchise tag you could have him for 2023. I think it was, what did I say, 2022? 2023.
Another year.
You can have him for another year. It's 120% based on it. So he wouldn't get to 20 million until his 7th year in the league, all with the Jets, because he couldn't go anywhere else. And if he wants to sit out, he doesn't get paid. So that being said, I said that to say this: would you be comfortable paying him $20 million a year just for 3 years? Let me throw it to Matt, and then I'll go to Ryan.
Yeah. That's a big cap number to eat.
60 million. That's all I'm trying to say. Would you pay $60 million for the 3 years with Jamal Adams after his 5th year option?
You figure if the cap goes up $10 million a year, then maybe you could get to $20 million. But right now, I would not pay Jamal $20 million.
Okay, because here's what I'm trying to do. Because the league revenue, it's going to max out at some point. Let's just say from a number standpoint, it goes up $10 million in all those 3 years that you sign him for. You sign him 3 years, $60 million. Okay? It goes up 10 each year, so it's 3 years, $30 million. Okay? So you got him for 3 years, $30 million. Why I'm saying that is because the Buffalo Bills, in a very similar situation, signed Mario Williams back in the day to a 5-year deal worth over $100 million. He never saw the end of his contract. So it ended up being 3 years, $66 million. And then we were done with him. We washed our hands. We cut him. The dead money bomb went off really quick, and then it was over. But the thing was we had him for his prime 3 years, is what I'm saying. So if you have Jamal Adams for those 3 years, I'm saying, like, if you sign him to a 5-year, $100 million deal, and you only have him for 3 years, and mathematically you're able to work it out where you have the best years of this guy who's a stud, and then he's ended up being 30 years old, you cut him, who knows what happens. I'm just trying to look at it from the business standpoint of what I've seen before. So
I could get behind a deal for Jamal that pays him more money than his. So you said it right. 4th year, 5th year, franchise tag, potentially. I could get behind a 4-year contract starting now that pays him a guaranteed salary of what those 4 years would be. So he is guaranteed for injury. He doesn't have to worry about it. I could do that. I don't want to do $20 million a year. That's asinine if you ask me. That is a ton of money, and I love Jamal. I bought his jersey. I didn't buy his jersey to get rid of him. I want to keep Jamal. I really do. But $20 million, dude, know your price point. I think you're holding the Jets over a barrel, and it doesn't feel good as a Jets fan. I mean, not that I should tell anyone what they should or shouldn't make, but that just feels like a lot in a cap intensive league. Now, guys, we're at that 10 o'clock mark. I'm going to head over to the Jets Discord and see how many guys got this question right. It was a lot of guys. Now, in the chat, I'm going to pick the first 3 numbers. Give me numbers between 1 and 10. I'm going to add them up, and then I'm going to count all these guys, and someone's going to win a shirt, hat, or a mug. Someone says George Fart is awful.
Yes. I just want to give you guys a little heads up while the numbers are rolling in. Jamie Collins, good news for the AFC East. Jamie Collins signed a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Lions. So
good.
He's over with Patricia in Detroit. So
makes sense. All right, so we got 7, 7, and 7. We're going lucky numbers here. 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Nope, backwards. Oh. No.
What is he doing?
Okay, so the winner of tonight's shirt, hat, or mug is going to be CD Lamb Fan 455. Hit me up on the Jets Discord so I can get your information. Hit me up there. You get your option of a hat or a shirt or a mug or something like that from the Jets Talk store. Guys, that's going to be it for us tonight. We're going to be back on live tomorrow talking more about the free agency news. Me, Matt O'Leary, Green Bean, and Gangrene David. So if you guys want to tune into that, make sure you catch us then. Now, let's do a little bit of a quick sign-off. Mario, any last words for the Cockpit Nation out there?
It's always a great time to be here talking with all the Jets fans. And I just wanted to say, ladies and gentlemen, your wish had come through. 139 likes on this video. Keep liking this video and smash that like button.
Mario's going through a table.
At some point, Ryan, a Jets fan, is going to put a Bills fan, me, through a table this upcoming season. So we'll be able to film that and hopefully make that go somewhere. I've never been put through a table before. I just want to let you know. I've never put anyone through a table. I'm there to drink and watch the Bills play. But just wanted to say thanks to Matt and Ryan for allowing me to ride with you guys on Jets Nation for tonight. So.
Absolutely. Matt, any last words?
Hopefully when we're on tomorrow, we got some more Jets news to talk about. Lukewarm first day, but I'm excited to see what the next few days hold for sure.
I love it, boys. I love it. And before we sign off,
here he goes.
Here. Gotta throw the cockpit hat on. I'm your pilot. This has been Jets Talk, and I'm signing off, and my hat's all crooked. J-E-T-S.
Nice job, Maverick.